It's tabletop time.
I'm Jazza, and I was the narrator for season 1 of IRONSPIRE, which I hope everyone has enjoyed. But if you haven't enjoyed it yet, don't watch this bit first, because this talks about everything very openly and leaps into speculations or plans for season 2 or diving into analyses or theories from season 1. So, spoiler alert, if you go past this bit, it's your own fault. But I hope you enjoy the listen. Yeah. Rob.
I can't believe Brick is Delvin's father. I am Rob, and in IRONSPIRE, I played Brick, a Phalancool bodyguard that was tasked with protecting our party through their crazy adventure.
I'm Jen, and I played beautiful lady up here. Yep, there she is, Catalina, a Thinician woman.
Oh, look, I'm patting her nose.
You're getting a little nose tickle. Ah, she looks like she needs it. She looks a bit sad. She's a Thinician woman who has discovered that she has the magical ability to read people's emotions, and it was her journey discovering that power. And what an amazing one it was.
Final chance, spoiler warnings. I'm Dave, and I played Delvin, who was the ultimate secret keeper of the season when it was finally revealed recently that as a master of disguise, I'd successfully worn a latex skin suit the whole time. And was in fact the sixth...
All to be on the poster twice.
I was in fact the 6th race of the setting, the lizard folk. And I moistened my eyeballs in anticipation of season 2. Sorry, I should drop my fake voice. I should moisten my eyeballs for season 2.
It was really hard to hold those secrets in, but I'm really glad that it all finally came to fruition.
Yay!
Imagine if that had actually been the secret you'd kept in.
Amazing.
You were
would be so good.
A reptiloid.
A reptiloid.
The only one as well.
Yeah, just none other on the planet. Just one. Just you.
Just you.
This
It's a god-awful
this
small
Q&A
affair.
session is brought to you by our freaking awesome poster.
Yay!
Check it out. It's only going to be available for a limited time as a signed edition. So all of the cast and Alicia, the artist of the season, will be signing this and sending it out for those of you who buy it or support it in A4 or A3 from the website linked in the description. It's tabletoptime.com/IRONSPIRE poster. You can, of course, get it from Teespring. There is a larger size available unsigned, but you can check that out at our Teespring page as well as our new Sparrow merch. Again, limited time. Go check it out, and all of your support makes stuff like this actually possible, which is amazing. And all of the amazing thumbnails through all of season 1, and that will continue through the next campaign, are made possible not only by your support of something like this, but also because of our wonderful patrons. So this video is actually brought to you by our patrons. You're going to step in there,
I was
Dave?
just going to say that I love the Sparrow merch. So get in while it's available.
Sparrow merch
It
is
is
cool.
probably my favorite merch we've put on the store. As much as I loved Rob's face on whale milk, when we get ours, I think it's safe to say you'll be seeing Follow the Sparrow in a lot of Tabletop Time videos in the future.
I think
It's
that's
super cool.
Yeah, justified. Very cool. Well done. Jen actually put that together for us. So thank you, Jen. Very
Jen's
exciting.
new secret job, merch queen.
Yes.
Mate,
I'll take that crown.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Love it. So thank you everyone who supported us so far. We really appreciate it. And our patrons, as a huge thank you for their support this season, will have been asking us questions on our Patreon post. So all of the cues for this Q&A are actually from Patreon. And for those of you who are curious about our patrons, because we do thank them at the end of every episode, we also, as you may have gathered, have an after party after every week's live stream. But it also is worth mentioning with our weekly updates, people get sort of behind the scenes glimpses, get to ask ongoing questions and have stuff answered if you can't make our hangout Q&As. And there was something else that occurred to me that is very awesome that patrons get. Oh yes, patron NPCs. And that's for multiple things. But this
We get to find out.
you get to find out patrons.
yes.
And you know what? Let's start off with that because there's a big thank you to our patrons. I think there's no more fitting way
Oh, I'm so excited.
than to open up with our
Can we
patron
make
NPCs.
our assumptions?
Starting off with, it opened up with there by default.
Oh, wait, before we do any,
Ainsley. I'm just kidding.
Can we make assumptions?
I rolled 2 patron NPCs for the patron video that's
You
going
did,
out
so you know who
for
they are.
reboot.
Did you? You've already Did you?
So there's two people who are going to be finding out very, very soon that they've got their patron
That's
NPCs
cool.
for the next campaign, which is very exciting.
I'm going to scroll through a bunch. You can all guess.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Is it?
Yes.
So I'm just going to flick through, but I will say that there are 3 patron NPCs. I've gotten all of them portraited.
Patron NPC.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Lilith is a
Okay.
patron
Yep,
NPC.
yep.
I will lock it in. Confirmed. Lilith
Okay.
is a patron NPC.
I called it. Nah.
No.
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 No. Is that High Daughter Sienna?
That's how I do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. No.
Oh, there's
can we
ums.
go? I
There's
wanna come
ums. We'll
back.
keep
I wanna
going
come
back. So we're umming on High Daughter Sienna.
I have justifications to go through too, if you want them. Otherwise, we can just go through it quickly.
Yeah, go
but if
on.
we like we have to get to them. We haven't gone through everyone yet, right?
Okay. No.
I think Adelard
Yeah,
is
I
a
think,
high possibility.
I think Adelard too.
Okay.
That's Adelard, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of hot.
He's a hot boy.
Uh,
I mean, depends on your
also,
preference.
Russell kind of Edgar, kind of hot. Honestly, everyone's kind of
They're all
hot.
kind of hot. They're all
Brick.
kind of hot.
Brick.
I like a man with leathery skin.
You cheeky little shit, Mikey. Where are the rest of them, though?
Yeah, where are the rest of them? They sort of disappeared from the. Anyway, guess.
Okay.
I've made my
By the
three.
way, all of those portraits are amazing. Thank you, Alicia.
Thanks, Alicia.
And thank you to our patrons for making those portraits possible. So I can't state enough. Your patronage really, really, really matters and helps and supports us and helps us take everything to the next level, which we really want to do with Reboot Season 2. So please consider becoming a patron because we really put it all back in to bring you the best quality possible. All right, moving on from plugs. Let's move on to the Q&A.
I made my
stuff.
three.
What are your
Do you have
guesses? We're missing some portraits, but
Do you have any reasonings?
Well, judging by the fact he's looking for missing portraits makes me think that the missing portraits would include one of the patrons.
Well, I think I'm definitely going with. I think that Tatters was a patron NPC. Tats, the ultimate person who I smashed her skull in, which would fulfill the prophecy that one day, if you become a patron NPC, you may well get murdered by a player.
Totally.
I think Adelard is a high possibility.
Yes, I agree.
I know that Lilith is one, and I also think that an alternate option is that one of either Satra or High Daughter Sienna. And my justification for that may be completely incorrect, but my feeling was, from a narrative point of view, they could have both been the same character.
you're wrong, Dave, because you see, neither of them are patron NPCs. They're just a reflection of my limitations as a narrator. Ha! Joke's on you.
I wouldn't say that. No, because the thing is,
I did try and differentiate them a little bit in character when they were all in the same group by making High Daughter Sienna a little more fiery, and adding more of an accent. No, sorry, Satra more fiery, High Daughter Sienna a little more uptight and accented.
You've immediately gone on the defensive.
I have.
No. Not you portrayed them similarly. So there was two options. One is we didn't
Narrative.
understand.
Oh, you're talking
So
motivation and purpose as a character.
There was one option. Option one was a patron NPC because they could have performed the same role in the story. Option two is that they have a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes that we don't know what's going on. So that was the option where one isn't a patron NPC. But from a narrative perspective, just from the player point of view, without knowing what the meta plot was, if only one existed, one could have delivered the same dialogue and it could have been just one representative of the Children of Amar.
Yeah.
Do all of the patron NPCs have portraits?
Here are.
Oh,
No.
Here's a semi-final list. Yes, they do.
All of okay. Because as I say, the racist
So
prick that stole my glasses.
take some wild guesses.
Tatters, Lilith. I'm so glad I smashed her head in. She was so bum. She kidnapped Mikey.
I really doubt it, but Medela.
No,
Is there more?
yeah.
I shouldn't give it away first.
I think it's. I'm going to stick with Lilith, Adelard, and Tatters.
Nailed
yep.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. They are our patron
Yay.
NPCs. Thank you to our
Awesome.
patrons for making them
Adelard
possible.
almost. If Adelard almost got
I thought
flirted
I
with
got I
significantly.
thought I was a sneaky with Adelard because he was in chapter 0 and then I
Yeah.
reintroduced him later. So I thought I might have pulled it off, but he had a portrait too early. So it was like, it wasn't clear that there would be a lot of other portraits. So I don't know if that was gave it away.
It wasn't that. I've just got too much because I've done it before.
Yeah.
I have a vibe from behind the curtain of what it's like. With Adelard, it was just that matter of he was a supporting character and he was cool. I don't know.
Also, like from at least my point of view, I'd never even thought about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
You synced them into the storyline really, really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't.
I do like to be sneaky, so I'm going to try and be more sneaky next time, and I at least have a few ideas as to how. But their name is Bob.
Ross?
It was meant to be Bob all along. Marky was so convincing that I just made him up on the
was
spot.
hilarious. That was so funny.
What's his name? It was Mikey. I don't know.
I'm so glad we fulfilled the prophecy and killed a patron NPC. That's great.
Yay.
So we have a bit to get stuck into. Shall we start off? Let's take a question from Triss first. I think that's a
Triss.
good time for a first. So we're guaranteeing one question from everyone. If we get through them all in good time, we might scroll back through the top. I don't know if everyone can have the questions open to them because then we can sort of pick which
These
ones
guys
we prefer.
can't.
I mean, that would require me to have access to the Patreon.
Well,
Oh
that's
my God. I
awkward.
just realized something. So did you say you answer every patron's questions?
One question
One
from
question
guaranteeing
per
one.
patron guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you
Steve can ask a
cheeky boy.
I'm going to work out what my question's going to be.
The two questions from Triss are: what was the purpose of Ainsley's telescope? I'm theorising it was much more than him just being a peeper. 2, could we get official names for all the magic we've seen so far? There's a few questions about magic, and I think we will circle back to that just because a lot of people want to know about it, and I think it impacts on season 2, and I think we should all discuss it a bit because I think people do want to know about it. So the question then being Ainsley's telescope, I can answer that one.
Me too.
Go on.
It was so that he could find where he kept the audacity.
I reckon it's a red
That's
herring.
what it was for.
It was what it could be. It was
Okay,
something. It was for the sole purpose, and there are a bunch of these things that I just sort of on a gut level just sort of put in there for the pure intention of if the players latch onto it,
Yeah.
it will definitely turn into something. But because no one did, it didn't, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But actually, like, okay, Medela's dreams, for example, was like a little thing that started off as a sprinkle on a gut level in that moment when it first came up. I was like, maybe like I wasn't sold on that.
Yeah, yeah.
I just sort of did it, and it turned into So there's stuff like that.
It's
So
funny.
you
if-
confirm they are Medela's dreams.
We'll get to that. Go on.
when you brought it up, I was like, it should be the way that we finish the season is we end up at that telescope. But because everything started shaking and it was an earthquake, I was like, nope, let's just get out. Let's not even bother with it.
Telescope's gone.
That's fine.
I might just pass it around and we can all take in turns reading through the questions and picking one, or
I've
putting
got it
to
on
the
my
group.
phone. So
Okay.
I'll
But
go
then
you go
Do you-
the other
well,
way.
you go
'cause
next
I'm
then.
writing a question.
You go next then.
Oh, but I'm writing a
Oh,
question.
you're right. Okay,
Yeah, you
well-
go the other way, I'll be fine.
Oh, Stephen has 3. Do I read them all?
You can put them all out, but then I think we all pick which one we go with.
All right. What moments do you all feel really defined the character or the story in general? Or is there something that brought your character to who they are in the finale? Question 2. Triss already covered this, but I'm just so curious about the magic system.
So we can skip that one because
Okay.
we'll come back to it.
Question 3. Is there an updated soundtrack available?
Ooh.
It's only a couple of songs added. We could probably link to them.
Yeah, we can try and find them.
Yeah. Let's make a note to add that to the next Patreon post. And we
Okay.
can send that info when my brain can find it. So the first question I think is probably the most fitting.
Character defining moment.
Do you want to take the lead on this one, Rob? Maybe Jen, because Rob's putting something down in our to-do list.
Catalina's got a lot, to be honest. I think for her, it was probably when Delvin talked to her mum the way that he did. And it made Catalina really bad. Actually, no, there's a few. So there's that definitely. That kind of gave a big twist into how Catalina feels about her mum and her past. The other one was actually when we were in the town, I tried to control the emotions of all the townsfolk and it failed completely. That was a huge shock to just kind of have that brought on her completely and just she couldn't do anything. It
Yeah.
sucked. And then obviously the finale too was another defining moment where she finally let go as well. So
Cool.
yeah.
I love it.
Have
Thank
you.
you. Delvin.
When Edgar died.
Yeah.
Edgar.
Take us through that a little bit. You say that as if it was a transformation internally. Like, what happened with Delvin for you?
Oh, it was an opportunity for growth because as a player, I think that sometimes our fans give us more credit than maybe we deserve. Maybe just speaking for myself, in terms of like Delvin was more pliable in his plot than like it's not like I'd etched into stone everything. So earlier on, and also one of the reasons, which we've since justified and explained away with his earlier murders, and it makes sense, and I'm happy to keep that as part of the character, but I was leaning towards being far more of a psychopathic murderer. And then it was about that sort of episode 7 to 12 where I was like, no, actually the evolution of him being a bit different feels better. And then that was the opportunity for growth with
And maybe
Edgar
really
and
caring
Pemble.
about Medela. Because the river scene, you can't, if that was 100% fake, it's too
Considering you
heartbreaking.
orchestrated most of that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was entirely Delvin's doing, and holy crap, it stuck like in the heart, in my heart.
I was going to say, if you didn't mention it, that would have been one that I would have said you too.
I think that was
Absolutely.
the first turning point. That was the first chink in Brick's armor, I think. And it was the first moment where they all got to be
Delvin's
human.
armor?
No, in Bricks.
Bricks.
That-
In opening
It's
Bricks.
Fisher.
The very, like only a tiny chip, but that was
Yeah.
the first moment of Brick being a bit different. Having kids playing with him and not being scared of him. I thought, at least.
Did you agree with that?
Brick's really interesting, right? The reason I say that is because like we go to reboot and Seb is action and broad strokes.
So different.
So different.
So funny.
And I knew stepping into this character it would be a lot different because he talks less, he exposes less. It's like going from like a big paintbrush to like a really tiny one.
I don't know. I think Brick exposed more in this campaign than Seb did.
Brick has the,
But Brick's actions are less.
Yes.
Yeah.
and yet they're way more meaningful.
Yeah.
Seb is
Every
proactive, but
single
casts
thing
the
Brick
check.
says or does
Yeah.
has huge implications on what is possible for his race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
And it was interesting playing him because like I don't want to come out the gates making changes to this person that's been stuck in his way and been a slave for almost 30 years. And so it's hard to say that there's one defining moment. It was mostly just small little things layering up over like a really long time.
Yeah.
To a point where like
You've had to be really patient in sessions.
yeah,
Because you've had like
legitimately.
nearly 2-hour sessions on average where you'll have like 5% of the session where you play.
Yeah, and then there's situations that came to a head when like Ainsley took over control of Brick, and Brick had to be like, okay, well I'm working for Ainsley now, but I trust these people and I want to do the best for them. And then there was like they can't plan in front of me, and it created a really weird friction and dynamic within the group that was hard to play around. But then as a defining moment, I was so expecting it in the finale where I could take off Brick's collar, and then it just didn't turn out that way. And I'm like, you know what? No, this guy, it's going to be better. And it seems more like it should happen to someone else because Brick has experienced a level of freedom that no one else in his race has. And he can see these two that are literally being humiliated. And he's like, yeah, okay, give back. And then, so like that's a defining moment. And I think that's going to have a bigger impact on him, that action in season 2
That's a
than
cool answer.
him taking it off his own collar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think it was a really good example of role playing at the table because it would have taken so much restraint over the course of the season. You played to Brick excellently, but not only that, you refrained from backseat. Like when playing the silent character, you didn't backseat the whole game.
Yeah.
And it is, I've seen it in so
Yeah.
many games where
And that'd
someone's
be
like, I'll
tough.
play the stoic character who doesn't speak much, but then they're out of character
Yeah.
talking non-stop. You
On
should
their
do this, you
phone
should
or
do this, you
opting-
should do
yeah.
that. Oh, this is the tactical play. It's like, you're in a different room and you've chosen not to be involved. Stop being involved.
Which, and as someone who kind of commanded the plans of last campaign with Reboot, must have been a challenge, but it really speaks to how willing you were to be in character and add to the immersion for everyone, which
Yeah.
I really admire.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I don't think should I answer for me or a character? That question.
I'd be interested in your perspective on our characters.
Most defining moments for each of the characters from my perspective? Yeah. Okay. Bricks. I think when he started having dreams.
Yeah.
I think that
fair.
from my perspective starts to feel like when there's a bit of play there, where I could feel from that moment incremental changes and shifts in Brick's perspective, even if minor, because before that I didn't feel like I had any way of impacting that. And that was turned into a bit of a magical little thing we could play with.
It was good.
For Catalina, the mum thing's a big thing. I actually think Delvin, I actually reckon the fight in the city is the biggest one, where it's like these moments where she's faced these big, moments of awakening where she's just stepped up to it and been badass. It's just really, really cool. So I think that the fight in the city was just like, you know what, I'm going to go back out now. Okay, you know what, fuck it. Huge fireball time and let's go touch tips through a torso.
Yeah, true.
And then we needed a heart rate monitor for that scene.
And then Delvin, it's got to be the Sparrow reveal. It was all leading up for that so much. It was quite amplified for us individually leading up to it. And then we got to sort of build up to that moment. And also the way... It was a co-orchestration, which was challenging because we both have different visions for how that might happen. And I feel like we both had a pretty good respect to make room for each other having the things that we felt would be satisfying. And I think the way it sort of moved between that and came to what became our canon is just really cool. I'm really, really happy with that and grateful for the experience.
I think everyone enjoyed it. It was very cool.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and this is part of the same question, but I think it's a narrator focused one. What was the biggest turning point, because this is about the turning point of player agency that impacted the outcome of the story?
Ooh,
I have
that's a good one.
Huge one. And I knew I'd spill the beans on this one in this chapter. And it would have, there's no way it would come back as an option for me as a narrator to do now. So I'm happy to spill it. If I feel so dirty saying this, just putting this out there, I was going to kill Medela.
You
No.
bastard.
I was 100% from the prophecy.
Yeah.
Medela was going to go. She was going to be part of that fulfillment.
No.
That music of the warpy, spacey, timey thing happening was going to be when Brick died and she sacrificed herself to save Brick. But I also had things playing leading up to that in my head a little differently, which is fine. But that was 100% the biggest one for me, and I'm so happy for it because it feels like, you know what, the players and the characters have changed destiny and made the story we all want.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to put myself in the firing line and do something everyone's going to hate me for, in the hopes that it might create a story that people are more invested in over time.
Yeah.
Which is why I was intending on doing that. But also I could see the moment we're in that Ainsley meeting and the way everyone's talking and what they're fighting for, I'm like, I will ruin everyone's experience if I do that. So I'm not going to do that. That it became clear to me, and that was probably a turning point for me as a narrator, to be really aware of that I'm like, okay, my selfish idea of what I think will be a good story is going to make everyone else a bit bummed out, and that's actually not what I'm in this for. So I let that go incrementally.
I think that was a good call. Yeah. Especially when the whole fucking half campaign was to save her.
Yeah.
I think we could have frustratedly lost Mikey. I think we would have taken that on the chin and it would have sucked, but we could have lost Mikey.
Yeah.
I think we even could have lost a player. But
I
I think Medela would have been
I feel like a player death would have been better than 100%.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing is,
fair,
everyone in that room would have probably died to save her.
100%.
So I think that would have been the unexpected bargain. Is you would have been like Medela, and Delvin would have been like, I transfer all my magic into Medela to save her, or something, or Brick will throw.
And then
I
100%, and I could totally see, and I was having conversations with myself leading up to this, because up to the finale, up to that moment where we're role playing in the finale, I was pretty resigned to okay, I'm going to go through with this, right? I know it's a monster, right? I know, but I saw how much it mattered to everyone, and it all built up to that, and I obviously went with that, and I have to respect that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know that my brain just disappeared.
I think
So-
it makes better storytelling as well. The way it went.
Well, the fact that, you know what, I choose to see it in a multitude of ways. And one of them is like, I was set on that happening and the fact that it didn't because of the way we all played together. I see it as like, it's like destiny being overturned, the prophecy being changed into because the player's input. And I think that feels more like the real adventure that was always going to be. So
What part of the prophecy is Medela?
But you have to ask the question.
Theory crafters, pick it apart.
Yeah, thank you.
Who's Medela?
Jackson Dutton asks, and that question came from Stephen, by the way, who is one of our ultimate theory crafters. So I
Number 4.
have to give a huge shout out
Thank
there.
you.
Thank you for all your time spent and input and conversation. It was really fun. Jackson says, and this is to you and I, Dave, how did you two cheeky boys get through 19 episodes without spilling any beans?
Well, I'm bloody cheeky. There's a bit of fun here and
Can
there.
I just say, like, we live together. Dave and I obviously live together. So, but he did not spoil it at all for me.
It's very impressive.
Especially when you left one night. You're like, oh, I'm just going to go hang out with Jazza. It's, usual night. And I'm
It's
like,
just what cool
okay,
YouTubers
fine.
do. Just go to a cool YouTuber hangout.
I was like, I guess I'm not invited then. Whatever. I'll
wow.
just stay at home.
no.
So,
Oh,
you did a really good job.
You wanted it too much. That's why you weren't invited. No, honestly, it was just being quiet, keeping your mouth shut, and Jazz is better at it than me. You're a big fan of secrets. You love a good secret.
I really
I am a bean spiller.
Yeah.
So my secret was to just never bring up anything even tangentially related to it,
Yeah.
because otherwise I would have let stuff slip.
I do know, I am aware, like you become aware of your players' ticks and you have like reveals for like stuff that's being said that you're like, so I'm conscious of that and I alter things a little or pay attention or try and maintain eye contact with other people to try. So I'm intentionally trying to shift attention
what we're
to that.
looking at. Oh,
But
that's really interesting.
It is, an interesting note is I actually, to try and I guess keep it more secret, the prophecy originally said sparrow, and then I changed it the day of. I'm like, to not say sparrow, the sparrow that follows. And then when I was reading the prophecy, I'm like, it has to say sparrow. So it was like as I was reading it, I said the sparrow, but I'm like, if you listen back to it, I was like, and the sparrow that follows is blah, blah, blah. Like, I can just sort of like gloss over a little bit.
I was
So
like,
it can
what
be
the
confusing. And you specifically, Catalina didn't remember the word sparrow. And that was like my way of like shoving it as a deeper breadcrumb.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Interesting.
All right. Philip Jackson finally has a question to ask.
Feeling okay?
Seeing as though Jazza already suggested and answered the question of his favorite food in song, that is on my music channel. I did that for Philip. Thank you, Philip, for Patreoning my music career. Okay, wondering at the moment is to do with the repercussions of Brick's actions. This is a cool question. How will this affect him? Will this cause to him be shunned by other Phalancool or celebrated? And what are his thoughts on the situation? Cool. That's a good question. I think this should be a bit of your perspective, a bit of mine.
Yeah. There's an idea I have, and I'm going to need to talk to Jazza about it in regards to some of the action that Brick might take between season 1 and 2. And I have a pretty cool idea. I think it's pretty cool, but I don't want to say it because it would be giving away what I think would be really cool. But I think it's pretty safe to say that the change that's happened in freeing the other two Phalancool has probably had a more profound effect on Brick than if he'd freed himself.
That's so cool. I love how that happened.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example of like that. I had no idea it would go that way.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I knew doing it was a risk, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, Brick wants to free this person. It's the right thing to do. It's going to make him feel good because they deserve it.
I put
He's
them in the
also
room as a
getting it-
narrator as to be examples of downtrodden Phalancool, not thinking you'd free them. So literally he was written to do the horrific thing of eating dog food and feeling awful. And then on the day of, I like wrote in the broken like love thing or whatever. But yeah.
But then like, it's funny though, because I wouldn't have known how they were feeling. I mean, Brick doesn't know, but Rob knows how they're feeling, right? And Brick would know how they're feeling to a degree being downtrodden. I don't know. It was just cool.
Yeah.
But I took the action to take the collar off him when I tripped him. Brick, knowing that there was an axe coming towards him.
Yeah.
Like, Mish could have not stopped her blow.
Yeah.
She could have, like, taken my spine out. And I still think Brick would have thought that was the best thing to do.
You know,
Yeah, that's so cool.
I was just going to say, I'm actually really glad that I chose to read your emotions during the season, because I think that was important
100%. This is
Yeah.
the best way.
to say that you are
Yeah.
100% like everyone else.
Yeah.
You just built a little differently.
It sort of touches on something I'm feeling that I love, which is that every player in this has been fearlessly like sticking to the motivations of their player, which I just think is so cool, because it also means that like in moments like that, you'll see things from your player's perspective, and that becomes an opportunity for the story, which is just so cool. So, but in the broader context, I'd say Felmore itself and Phalancool, who are, you know, most Phalancool working for Felmore, would not have any place for it, and that's going to be a huge challenge. However, with the party heading up to the Barrows with 3 freed Phalancool, and there will be some Phalancool in the Barrows who through trades have become workers who were isolated from Felmore and have been a part of different society. So, you know, there's the ripple is bigger because you've added 2 people into the mix, and then it can grow from there.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I've kind of like unintentionally made Brick. Well, he will probably become some level of an icon
Could do, yeah.
because he's the rogue.
Depends how you play
It
it.
depends how I play
Yeah.
it. But in my head, I'm just like, downtrodden race of slaves with a single person standing against like this tide of subservience or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, it's Mistborn.
Yeah.
It's some Kelsier.
I have a big thought that I have to keep very secret, but it's a bit of a dream. It's a bit of a pitch for something that I think would be really, really cute for Sunder Season 2. And I've talked to you a little bit about the concept, and it involves your big world map, and involves something I pointed out we talked about.
Yeah.
And it could involve freed Phalancool in an amazingly cool way.
All right. Secrets
Anyway.
upon secrets. I
Spicy.
love
I, know
it.
what, I don't know what you're talking about, but I think I know what you're talking about.
It's going to be so cool.
Yeah, so do
It's
I.
kind of like the dream thing that will be happening in the background if I can earworm Jazzer enough to let him make that happen.
Riley Peterson has 4 questions. I'm actually going to pick one out, which
We're
is
skipping
question
the first
3.
two because the first 2 I'm just going to say I think it'd be better if they'll come up in season 2.
Yeah, I think so too. But question 3, and I think it's time for Jen to have a bit of spotlight here. How did Jen come up with the concept for Cat's powers? So you chose which you would go with.
Correct.
Because they're so unique and cool. Now, obviously,
Yes.
that fits in with a broader magic system, but the motivation for those powers and your character build, speak to that.
Yeah, so when we originally sat down, there was a list of different types of archetypes of magic that we could pick from. And I picked emotions, essentially. And it just came down to her backstory, which is just with her dad. She loved her dad. Well, she loves her dad. And they just formed a really strong bond. And because of that, and he taught her how to play as well, which is something that doesn't like usually, obviously, as we've learned through the story, that's not allowed. But yeah, she just had this really deep emotional connection, and through that and through playing, it all just sort of intertwined and connected. But also having really negative emotions to her mother as well. Like it all just became the person that she was, and I think that's why I chose it in the end.
It worked out so well in
Yeah.
a number of ways. And the thing that's really interesting to look back on is how, from my perspective, you having that mechanism opens up the viewer's eyes to motivations and intentions under the surface to the world. So
Yeah, totally.
culturally and
Yeah.
people's interactions, because that's a big part of it. And then it moves on to then when, as soon as Delvin has his powers, moves on to more the mechanical stuff, but it's also like everyone's motivation is now magic and it's this fight for power. And then when your mechanism can understand that, and then
Yeah.
Jen's did the emotional thing, it actually really built some bricks into the...
Yeah, it was really tough too, because there was a lot of really cool options, which I won't spoil, but it was really tough to not pick some favorites of my personal choice. But I was like, no, this is I already had I already had Catalina in mind before I picked what type of magic she was going to use. So I just went, no, this is perfect for her.
If you got earth, water, wind, fire, and heart in front of you, picking heart was a bold choice.
I
No one would think to pick
know. No
heart.
one picks hard.
I don't know if it was done intentionally, but I love the idea that your character is raised in this society where like women are the top of the pillar, and your mum, like quite high up there, right? Is this like not a motionless lady, but like a wall.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you said it during the scene. It was uncommon or rare for her to break that emotion, and I love that potentially on a subconscious level, the reason that Kat has manifested these powers to read emotions is to break past her mum's wall.
Well, I want to add in a little bit of outside story lore here, which I think you will have probably been. You will have had some reunion conversations with your dad or whatever, but you're going to part ways again because he'll go back to your mum. And there was no reasonable way to fit this in the story, but it would be. I'd love to share that his harp was his first, and actually he got to the heart of your mother first.
Oh, okay.
So there's like a little story as to
Interesting.
how that all eventuated. That actually is about like he was the one that could reach her heart, and there's a reason why she has such a soft spot for your dad.
Yeah.
Rather than looking down on him, it's like it's that soft spot.
Oh,
And
so
that's
he magically manipulated her.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Coerced her into
No,
dating
it's
him.
just it's finding and amplifying a truth that someone holds back from themselves, isn't it?
Well,
It's
and
like a
that's-
Phelan call. It's like,
Actually-
they feel that about each other, but they cannot.
Let's be fair. If you're sitting there and you're deciding, like, should I ask this person to dance or not? And you're reserved, and then you see that they're reserved, but you feel their emotions innately, and you know that they want you to ask,
But they're
you're more
too-
inclined to ask. He
Yeah.
didn't necessarily do anything naughty.
It's
He
it's
might
kind of-
have.
It's kind of funny.
Shift
'cause-
emotions, love.
Well, that's because you approached me at the start of the season as well, and when we talked about the concept of using emotion, how you can completely twist it to absolutely mess someone up.
Yeah.
I was like, that is the absolute last thing that Catalina would do.
Yeah.
She is happy to amplify emotions, make them stronger, make them feel certain things that are there, but she would never make it evil.
Just ruin
If-
Rick's most positive memory.
If
Well-
Dalvin but it was only temporary. If Dalvin had Kat's powers, like let's say dark timeline, Dalvin like kills Catalina and has the power to take her
Ooh, the
magic,
ultimate
right?
story.
Whatever, whatever, right? Dark timeline. So I have Kat's
Yeah.
emotion magic. Dalvin would go to Ainsley and remove his joy from every single thing that he gets out of life, and just take his joy away. So I wouldn't make him suffer, but it would just be like everything that makes him tick, makes him happy,
Well,
makes
he's
him
still
satisfied.
there.
Just make it nothing.
We could still
I
do
would make
that.
it nothing. I would reverse it.
Well,
that's the-
over time, you make it nothing and then you make it dirty.
That's the thing about how she's used the magic, though. I don't think she manipulated or changed Brick's memory.
No, just
She just found a piece of it and made it louder.
yeah, that damn cloud.
So that the sadness was like there.
Yeah.
So I love how it's all played out. So fun. Anyway, Mikey Dawn, a question for Jazza. How long did it take you to come up with all the different social
I
structures?
think that's Mickey Dawn, but
Mickey. Oh, sorry. I've just got Mikey on the brain.
okay.
Social structures in the world of Sunder. How did you come up with the legal systems for each region? I'm going to be honest, I haven't properly come up with all the legal systems to great depth. I think the most depth I have done that to is the Watchwood, but I even want to define and rework that a little bit. But as far the big thing for me has definitely been cultures and regions, and that I've really, really enjoyed. And that was the first thing I actually did in my world building. And I guess like Tolkien and languages, everyone world builds with a different thing they're drawn to. That is like their thing. And I think when I look at my overall like world, I compartmentalize the shit out of everything. Like every culture is so blocked off and rigid.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably some of my upbringing in that's sort of like reflecting there. But I think actually it's for the purpose of breaking down.
Yeah.
It's to create a sandpit that is so segmented in this way, knowing that then players will mess it up and saying, go for it. But also it gives me a mechanism whereby I can really confidently know how most people are going to react or how I can subvert that. So it's actually built kind of for my own clarity and leading it as a narrator.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense. But it's obviously taking inspiration from different areas of the world and stuff.
I would like more animals in the world.
Yeah, I think that's...
So
I think
tried to pitch the catfish, but he doesn't like the
We
catfish.
spent one day in the wild.
leading into season 2, when that comes, and that's a long way off at this point, but it will come like recent Reboot 2 is now
Yeah,
here.
that's cool.
I think a bit of world building will be in order,
definitely.
and it's going to be good.
Can't wait to meet the catfish. The catfish has been vetoed, everyone. There's no catfish.
Delta Hill says, what is the airspeed of an unladen swallow?
An African or a
Sparrow.
European swallow?
Unladen sparrow.
I just filled it in with my own understanding of what it
Not as
guys-
impressive as you'd think. 1 reflex and only 1 point in acrobatics, and I think 1 point in athletics. So he's not
Really?
slow.
Oh, okay.
Well, I had to put all my points into to make the character
Deception.
work. I had to put all my points into deception and infiltration
Yeah.
and combat. So I didn't really have much left, so I just put a few points in things that made sense. But like, I have only 1 point in sleight of hand or something like that.
So
as well.
you took what Rick put in his strength attributes and put it elsewhere. Because we're pretty similar in our dice rolls for combat. I just had a few left over.
Yeah, I've got max combat die, like 3 in the vocation,
Yeah.
3 in the knives. Although, have we all achieved our vocational goal?
I think.
So
you,
for the-
I think you
for
will.
the
And I
next
think the
season
next
we can-
season everyone's amping up a little bit.
Cool.
Okay, so next question by Toddle Fox. There's actually 2 here. I kind of want to answer both because one is about what's your favorite thumbnail. So I reckon we'll do that second because I think that's a cool one to answer. And Alicia's made awesome thumbnails that deserve attention. But the first one is, there was a lot of emotional moments in this season. What was your most emotional moment as a player or character?
That's a tough one.
There are a few. There are a few almost tearies. I think I probably came the closest with Catalina and her dad, and I wasn't even in that scene, just as a player. That was really touching to finally get that. Also, I almost cried when Dalvin got the letter from his mum.
Really? That's so nice.
Yeah, because that was a big. I don't know, like knowing that his mum was
from
safe.
Pemble, you mean?
Yeah, it was like
cool.
it was also it was both vindication that the first thing that he'd actually put together that hadn't fucked up. It's like it worked. Pemble did the job, and Pemble looked after his mum.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like that. Okay, God, she's safe, and it was that. At least if I completely fail, I've protected
Mum's okay,
my mum,
yeah, that's so
who
cool.
is my weak spot in my character's thing. I have patronage of her.
Yeah.
But I play that to be like Dalvin wants to protect his mum
Yeah, I
because
love
he
that.
sees his mum. Well, you'll find out in season 2.
Yeah.
But he sees his mum very much as sort of like a beautiful vase made of incredibly fragile glass. That's sort of how he
that's
sees
an
her.
interesting thing where, like, coming into season 2, I'm going to need to do some planning with you to make sure I understand the character as you think they should be, as opposed to me being the narrator and writing characters. Like, it really matters that the picture of the mum in game matches what you've built in your head.
I have
which you've built.
I'm happy to write your whole thing. I have a whole idea
Yeah,
of the
please
place
do.
Dalvin grew up with his dad, his mum, a few friends from town.
That would be amazing.
I've got this whole idea of like a little world.
Yeah, I
and what
love
it looked
that.
like.
I
But
love
the cool
that.
thing is it's what it looked like
Yeah.
5 years ago, not
Yeah,
necessarily
cool.
today.
I love that. All right, Catalina.
It's tough. So pretty much any time I played the harp was tough. Any situation where something emotional had happened, that was tough.
I just want to add to that. Every time you played, like, I love that at the first few times I sort of basically did a bit of my guide as to how I thought it could role play out, and then you took it from there, and then like from like 3rd episode onwards, you sort of gave your what you played to thing, and I just thought it was so cool. You
Oh,
really ran
thanks.
with that, and I was really happy. I
Thanks.
loved watching that.
No, that was really fun, and it was like there were times where I'm just like, oh gosh, this is actually quite a lot.
Yeah.
The conversation with her mum, that was
Yeah.
a big. I was pretty close to tears, and then Dad, yes, but actually, again, the conversation I had with Delvin, just the fact I almost just slapped him in the face. I felt so emotional having that conversation because I was like, "What are you doing?" So yeah, me as a player, I was just like, "This is a lot." So, but it made it for a really good role play. So I'm happy it happened. Yeah.
So most emotional or saddest?
Let's go most emotional. What hit you as a player?
Me as a player, not Brick as a character.
Either or.
Yeah.
You as a player.
Me as a player.
Yeah,
I reckon.
See,
I
I
think
don't have
we're
emotions, so so it's really fun to roleplay a
Come
character
on,
with emotions.
Rob. Don't be oh, bloody cheeky boy. You're so cheeky, Rob. Don't be cheeky.
It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. There's like two events that kind of stand out. Number one is the moment in the river with the fishing. That's a positive memory,
Yeah.
but it's emotional. Knowing like my headcanon backstory for my character, it's like the first time he's experienced something like that, and that's pretty punchy. And then the next time was losing Medela to a psychopath because, fuck Ainsley.
Well, mine was
We
definitely.
can if you want. He's at our disposal.
That is true.
Mine was the last stream you had with Medela when she.
Yeah.
Because that was actually, I wrote that as a little script and I didn't know that I'd have time to add that at the end or if it would start the next session. But the way it ended that session, I thought was, I feel like because I decided to throw it in, it might have caught the players like a bit by surprise, but even myself. So I was a little off guard even then when role playing it. And when I write those things, I don't often write like a little dialogue for the players, but I do when I feel like it really matters, when I really want to get a few things across or when I feel like the character really has a few things to say. And it's usually because it's emotional. It's because they need to say how they're feeling in a certain way, which when I'm improvising may not happen.
Yeah.
And that was one that I think because I was in that headspace, I was pretty choked up by. The other one was the Catalina's dad. That was also scripted. And that was one where I got even more emotional in prepping. That was the most emotional I got was writing the Catalina's dad lines. I think as a dad, it really hit me. So I sort of like writing like when I came up with the caterpillar thing and stuff, I was just like,
That was so sweet.
but then like in the moment, I was a bit pulled out in my head a little bit because I felt a bit self-conscious.
Well, because Dave,
No, it's fair.
Dave and I both
Yeah.
went,
Yeah. Pretty much. You poop head. But Dave just said he was emotional about it. So
it was cute.
just-
No,
I
it was
almost
really
cried.
cute.
Yeah.
I like it. You can look and watch back.
It's
and I
just
like
'cause I
notably
knew-
like go like this because I have tears welling in my eyes.
I think I was just like a little self-conscious simply because I knew it would be something no one else would have known and it would have been a surprise. And it's a little, it's a cute little
It's
nickname.
cute.
Yeah.
I just laughed because I was just like, oh, that's actually really cute. No, I loved it. It was great.
Okay. Everyone's favorite thumbnail. We can throw that one in
yeah.
nice and quick.
Mine is the thumbnail that never saw light because it was too grim. The too grim thumbnail.
Oh, I wish we saved it out.
I wish we saved it out.
Mine has got to be either The Final Prophecy or Journey's End. I think Journey's End because it really puts everyone in the
Bathhouse
same
one.
place. Yeah. Topless Delvin.
It's just funny.
Brick
Yeah,
with
it's
the
good.
tongue.
I like funny stuff.
It's nice to have a break from all the heavy. Jen, what was your favorite thumbnail?
Fireball. Yeah.
That's a cool thumbnail.
Yeah.
Very cool
I
thumbnail.
wish we'd kept it. I wish we'd kept the too grim one.
Do you want to read the next question? I'll bring up those thumbnails.
Yeah.
Mine was, hang on a second, bloody.
The next question is.
What? Hang on. No, I've got to show the thumbnails now because I've said it. There you go. Journey's End. That was my pick. Oh my God. How good is it?
No.
Then there was. What did everyone else pick again?
I picked the fire one.
Which is Ignition.
Ignition.
Yeah, it had a fiery
Ready?
name.
Delvin's is Rest for the Wicked.
Yeah, that's a great thumbnail.
So
So
good.
good.
I gotta say, I remember walking upstairs throughout the day watching Alicia put that together and it just got cooler and cooler and cooler and
It's
cooler.
so fun to walk through that room when Alicia's here and just see the artwork we made. Then we have Dave's favorite.
Yeah.
Rest for the Wicked.
And then
Very nice.
First Blood, but the altered version of First Blood.
Yeah, I wish it was there. Anyway, where is it? First Blood. There we go.
Essentially, it was when Brick cleaved someone in
There's
half,
First Blood.
and the original one had his silhouette
Oh,
cleaved.
yeah.
It
I remember
had
that.
like the body divided into.
Yes.
It had like more blood.
Yeah.
It was pretty glorious.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, do
My
you
favourite
want
thing
to
is
grab
that-
the next question?
My
Oh,
favorite,
you've got it.
my favorite thing about it was like
I have the next question.
that was where Alicia went to with it, with like minimal instruction.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, brick cleaves someone in half. She's
Like,
like,
okay.
cool, okay. We come back and this guy's like, boom.
Yeah.
This is for Solid Nebula. Question 2 I'll quickly address is the patron scroll for the roleplay patron is for tier 3 and up, I think. It's a certain tier and up get the patron scroll. And the other question is when Delvin kept bringing along NPCs that the group encountered, did it throw a wrench in your plans for how the story would unfold? I remember Delvin and Mikey arguing about whether he should go along with Pemble or stay with the group, and it was almost like Jazza and Dave both really wanted their way as much as the characters did, but maybe that was some great roleplay. So did it throw a spanner in the works?
The second one's a separate answer. Did not throw a spanner in the works. The opposite is the case. I wanted more people in the party because so many times I felt like I needed more of a voice and input in the group, but it was just the group. So there were often like very few NPCs, but then often when there were, it was like a child or a senile man, or it's like, just like, so I can't really add too much to the story. So I'm like, thank God for Russell. I'm like, finally, they're like attaching to someone who, so that's kind of a relief.
Yay.
But other than that, it was actually Medela before that. So when Medela was gone, I was pretty lost as a narrator. I'm like, okay, I've got Mikey now. Pemble was good, but also temporary.
You get to sit back and let them play.
It was very cool. But also when it's like comes to having little plot inputs or whatever without stuff just happening, or like an idea just sort of being accentuated, like it just helps, have some input.
Yeah, totally.
But in regards to the Mikey fight, that was because Mikey was on orders. That's because Mikey was watching, like he was assigned to Delvin, so he actually couldn't go, and he probably would have been crapping himself. That's why that was the case.
Cool.
Well, Mikey,
Little shit.
Yeah.
you're in trouble, mate. Just wait for the dark patch in the middle of the journey north. There's a body gets thrown off the side of the fucking cart, and we head further north.
Phenomes is 2 questions. Jazza and Dave, was there any moment during the campaign where you feared you might slip up? We kind of might have answered that. Jen and Rob, I think this is probably the question. What were your theories as to who the Sparrow might be? In the episodes leading up to the actual reveal, what were they sort of congealing into?
A part of me.
Oh my God,
It's
Jen.
my congealing sound effect. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. A part of me thought like maybe Adelard, but I was like, he wouldn't do that. That's not his nature. So I don't know. I just thought he was a completely random NPC that we hadn't met
Yeah.
yet.
It's like, okay, there's this weird assassin taking out minor political figures. And, yeah.
It does.
Minor political figures. I just thought maybe he's this like weird rebel that's fighting for a cause that we don't know about, and it's going to be, revealed later in the season. And I'm like, God,
That's what it was.
It is.
Sometimes those things happen. In my home D&D campaign, I had a whole serial killer arc running in the background, and then eventually the players just left town to go fight a dragon or something and never came back.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's just, well, they got a serial killer. They didn't do it.
Yeah.
But it was just a dude. That's the spoiler. 3 years long and I've never been able to spoil it. It was just a guy. There was nothing exciting about it. He had 6 HP, but he killed people. That's all. You heard it here first.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was my theory. It's just some weird political assassin that's taking out low-level nobles, and I'm like, well, it'll be revealed later in the season, and it was. But zero thought
That would be
that
Dave.
it would be Dave.
Yeah.
Which is so
same.
weird for me because I don't know what you felt, but like I feel so exposed at every point. So I felt like you guys were going to guess the Sparrow was Dave when I said the word Sparrow in the prophecy. Like at any sort of, but that's why I think I'm addicted to putting in breadcrumbs because I feel like they'll all be found. So if I have enough in there, then there'll be a surprise.
Yep.
But I think there's enough in there that there are some surprises, which is good.
I think that, to be honest, while some people watching on the outside saw some misdirection, I just thought the misdirection was pretty solid. Like, from your perspective, shifting the attention when it needed to be shifted, and from my perspective, really strongly establishing this character of this Delvin, like eats a lot, lounges a lot, drinks a lot, that vibe. And then it became so ingrained that even when I started to let it slip later, I felt like the assumptions were still with you guys that, Delvin's going to sleep in. Yeah. And it just becomes like that assumption that Delvin sleeps in.
Yeah.
And you just don't think about it anymore because you've kind of built the picture of the character in your head.
Yeah, you played up a lot of your comforts. You were just like, I have to do this. And then we were kind of like, okay, that's fine, whatever. You have to sleep in a nice bed, okay, and lock the door, all right, and whatever. He doesn't want to be peeped on, that's fine.
Yeah, it's interesting. From like a narrating or a playing like character perspective, there was there was no chance in hell I was picking it up. Yeah. Especially because every time you gave breadcrumbs, you were narrating, and so our focus was on you. If our focus had been on Dave, probably
I love you,
would have
Dave.
picked up on it.
You do like have a when something that's like, and the sparrow walked around the corner, there's like a little diddy.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I never claimed to be good at keeping secrets.
It's when we were in the town, I witnessed what the sparrow had done as well. I had my attention solely focused on you because I need to remember everything about this scene because I'm only going to see it once. I wasn't looking at Dave.
Yeah.
Put that smile on his face,
But
right?
little did you guys know, you could cut to the scene from Samurai Cop, the reactions, that was me the whole time.
After the reveal, a bunch of the Patreons went through and found all of the references when you talk about the sparrow.
Yeah.
And you just look at Dave's face in every single one, and I was just like, how did I miss
How did we miss it?
Samurai Cop
Because I
reactions.
was doing this, and then and the sparrow, and then something else happened.
Props to both of you.
Yeah, well done.
Jasmine Rigg has two questions. Dave, how did it feel to hand the narration reins over to Jazza for this season? And the other was seconding someone else's question. So that's the question, Dave.
It was a mix. It was a big mix. There was definitely fear and apprehension. There was a lot of nervousness, mostly because coming into tabletop time, I had very firmly established, like, I can run games, I can GM, and then it's like, but I haven't proven myself as a player. Like, I felt like that I was an unknown quantity as a player, even though we'd played together a few times. Yeah. But I was really nervous, and it was less about handing the GM reins over and more about then having to be a player and hopefully being a good player at the table. But I guess at the same time, so that was that side. But at the same time, there was a joy in when you were a forever DM playing in this kind of game, and this is my favorite kind of role playing. I have social games that I love, but when you've got a whole group of people with different backgrounds, we play more crunchy D&D with a lot more out of character interaction. I love this role playing. Yeah. If I could have both, that would be my dream. Like a bit of crunchy combat and stats and characters with like intricate character moments on a hero's quest to slay the dragon.
Maybe we should try that out sometime.
Maybe we should try our bloody D&D.
Yeah.
I feel like we can say in this what's happening is a season filler. Come on.
Say at the end.
Okay, I think we should.
Because it's the next video. Actually, it'll be out in a day or two from the time this comes out. No.
A week.
No. Won't it? Will it?
Isn't this going out this weekend?
Yeah.
And then the next
okay, next week on Tabletop time. We're playing D&D.
Yay.
But taking it up a notch or two. So it'll be higher production value than this, but it's a bit of a taste test to sort of see what we can pull off and how much we can.
So excited.
There's fully painted minis, encounters, and scenery, and whoops.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
So good.
That sounds fun, doesn't it, Rob? Yeah. What are you doing while we play D&D?
I'll get drunk.
Okay. You'll be working, sir.
True D&D style.
The boss is busy for 7 hours. I can get away with anything.
Go home right now. He wouldn't notice. He's going to run over time. I'm fine.
What was that question again? Because I wanted to input something.
It was how did it feel handing the reins over to Jazz?
We're yin and yang because I'm a forever player. I love being a player. I struggle as a DM. I feel like
you don't show it.
I feel like I pull it off, but I emotionally struggle because I'm questioning myself at every turn. My favorite parts, the real meat and the joy for me, two come to mind: the battle in the alleyway and the finale fight. When I've set up something that the players are in, and they do what they do, and the roles do what they do, and I feel like I'm just sitting back and watching, and it's so fun. Like that is
And
so
hurting
fun.
people.
Yeah, and hurting people.
You'd love
I'm
DMing.
dark.
You'd love DMing. You'd be like, all right, you're a level 3 party. Here's a lich. Let's see how you power kill. Oh, you can't resurrect from that
I
one.
think I did say to everyone at the start of the campaign when everyone was character creating that I really do like dark stories, and I could sort of feel like going to. I love the meaty bits in Game of Thrones when it hurts. When it really hurts or you don't expect it. Like they're my favorite bits. I live for that. So I planned a whole season expecting to kill the person you all loved.
Yeah, that's why you put Medea, a small child.
Wait,
in
you were
there.
never going to kill eggs and bacon.
Sussy.
But I tell you what, rewatching Reboot, getting amped up for season 2, I'm so fucking excited because one of my struggles as a narrator is like I want to really step into the emotionality of all the characters, and I can only do that so much with all the NPCs. There's some I can do a bit more, but it's tough. Whereas I can't wait to get lost in Pro again.
I love that you talk about liking dark stories. Season 2 of Reboot.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna fuck you all up.
I'm all here for it.
I just want to mention, because you said that the finale was one of your favorites, and then the alleyway was your favorite, and I'm like, they're both like really big combat encounters.
Yeah.
Nothing physical happened in the finale. Nothing physical happened.
There was one combat roll from you.
Yeah, which I tripped someone intentionally.
You did almost get harpooned though.
And tackled Ainsley. But I get what you're saying. You're sort of fighting against the magic in the room.
It was
I was fighting against
everything was magic. There was no intent from the players to kill anyone,
That's interesting.
except for Dave smashing a head.
I
But
do
would-
have to
I would
say-
say that was less combat and more execution.
Quickly mute me. It's one of the things with games such as Cogent with the death spiral, where basically as soon as I was injured, I was like, I'm now incapacitated because mathematically, once I'd lost 2 dice, I'm like, cool. So now I have 7 dice, and most trained people outperform me. So mathematically, I'll lose a fight and then just get more injured, and then I'm dead. And I can't win. Which is where HP based and AC systems, it can kind of be like, well, I might just get lucky and I'll just miss, or I might just hit, and you can still kind of think, well, I can fight at full capacity even though I'm injured.
Yeah. It needs a revamp.
Well, it's all games of the same system. It's death.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games
I love
like
it,
that.
and I can see
It's
where the
got pros and
problem
cons.
is. Yeah, it's
realistic.
Yeah,
It's-
like it's a blessing and a curse because the intensity it adds is really cool, but at the same time, it's like it's hard to have mercy. Then
I describe the difference as it's kind of like one is like anime and the other one is like a gritty TV show. So or real life, where one thing like D&D, you can get the more beaten up you get, the more brutal you fight with no penalty, and then at one point it's just like you get hit with a small pebble. Now you're unconscious. You've just been hit with a dragon 15 times. But now you're unconscious because you took that 1 health. Whereas the Death Spiral games are more like real life. Oh, look, you just had 3 of your ribs broken. Funnily enough, you're not as good at fighting now that 3 of your ribs are broken.
What do you think about just throwing this out there? And this, maybe, I don't know, just a thought occurred to me. What about a lives system? Imagine if you started a campaign, you say everyone's got 3 lives. So you've got the same rules for everything. The difference is you can choose when to spend your life when you're at the bottom of your thing or whatever. And then you can say for the rest of this encounter until you're recovered, you're out of the risk zone, but you're also out of the story in this moment, and you're sort of opting out of that encounter or having the impact or getting the reward, but allowing the story to continue. And then you can basically have hardcore mode where you have no lives, or like a one shot, or a mini campaign where you have 1 life. Or so I don't know.
Would be an interesting
Just a
system.
thought. I think there's stuff that needs to be played with.
There's play.
'Cause I think
I've got a
having
plan for
intensity
Reboot.
is good. Yeah, I think
I've got a playtest for Reboot, which is going to be, it's an exertion system.
I like that.
Where basically you can opt as a player to ignore your highest injury for a round.
Yeah.
And if you do it, you make an endurance check. And based on the level of injury, if you succeed, there's no penalty. Everyone can do this, including NPCs.
Yeah.
If you succeed, there's no penalty. If you fail, that injury level is worsened by 1 level at the end of combat. So not during the combat. So if you have a level 3 injury,
I like that.
and you exert yourself, you can ignore it, keep fighting. But then even if you win and you beat your enemy and you choose to have your anime moment and like, "Rah!" and take out the guy who you fucking hate because you get your full combat roll, you then go, oh God, in doing that swing, I just pushed that broken rib through my lungs. I now have a punctured lung and I'm now dying.
It's the scene of the anime where he kills the final big bad evil guy, and then it's just like, it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, it's like a burst of adrenaline, right? Yeah.
Do you want to pick the question from Lirunia?
Ironia.
Sorry. The capitalization throws me off.
Yep. Did someone change the dice before the last session? I can't believe the luck. First quick answer is no. All my luck just came at once for the whole season. 2 of the patron NPCs been answered.
Yep.
Is there anything you wish you did different with your characters, or Jazza was Ainsley always behind this? Yeah, I think 3. Is there anything you wish that you did different with your characters or an NPC for Jazza?
Oh, with my characters or an NPC?
Like something you wish you could have kind of taken back and changed after the fact.
Oof. Something I wish I could have done differently.
I know mine, so what do you think?
Yeah, you guys go.
Mine was...
There's too many. You guys have like one character to think of.
You're like, got 20.
Mine was disrespecting Catalina's mum.
Really?
Yeah. I think that was the one...
Oh, maybe such a good
It
moment.
was the one real mistake I felt like as a player, where I felt like I made a mistake. And it was in character that I would do that, but I feel like it was also out. Like, Delvin's smarter than that. Even though he's hateful, he's also manipulative, and he probably wouldn't have burnt that bridge that was potentially really valuable just like that. Like, Delvin's smart enough to hide. He masks all the time. Like, he masks in full Graydon character, talking to the biggest Graydon shitlords in the world happily. And yet he couldn't have one conversation with the most influential politician he's ever met who could actually help them. That was the one thing I was like, oh, that was an improv snap decision I probably wish I didn't make.
Well, that takes me back to my pro stuff up with the phone call with Uriel or whoever it was.
Yeah. Or
Like,
in the bed, you're
sometimes
like,
I think reacting in the moment and you feel like it's too far or too different or out of character or whatever, there's a bit of charm in actually explaining it after, and it can make sense. And I think that, I would interpret what happened in that moment is Delvin being maybe particularly emotional attached to Catalina and defensive of Catalina. And then as a result, like shocked by who her mum is and kind of like bit beyond bothering with manipulation, just disliked her too much. You know, and I think that can make a lot of sense as a character, why you would improvise like that. For the record, I felt like I'd role-played wrong because I felt like, I've upset Delvin. I don't think that she would do that. But at the same time, I think we were just playing our characters. They spiraled in a really organic way.
It was great.
Yeah. Catalina.
I honestly can't think of one. There's probably, if I looked back on the season and actually watched it, I'd be like, I wish I'd done this instead. But off the top of my head, I honestly can't think of anything that I would have changed, because even the mistakes that were made still led to good storytelling. Like, that's the whole reason we roll dice, is because it never is a good outcome. It has to be bad sometimes. And sometimes that's amazing. So I honestly can't think of one.
You could have flirted with Delvin more.
Actually, no, I do have one. I do have one mistake. I wish that I had gotten to know some of the NPCs just a little bit more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who comes to mind?
Like Sartre and High Daughter Sienna, and even Melba, like that whole Children of Ma, I definitely wanted to get to know more, but I think...
There wasn't a moment for it.
Yeah, which is fine. If there is season 2, then that's just an opportunity.
I would love it if we don't have a ticking clock in season 2, at least for the first period of time. It would be great to have, even if we go, okay, we've got 3 months of breathing room where we can skip over time and have gaps and stuff. It would be great to be able to breathe and have meet them at a port town in the Barrows where they meet them up again, and actually get to follow some of those little side questies. It's kind of 1 or 2 session plots. I think that could be really cool, because I feel like we never got the chance. Everything was so tense all the time to actually breathe and enjoy the world, which would be really good. Even though the world's in turmoil, still be really cool to like have those moments.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, that brings me to mine. Mine isn't to do with a character, because I think sort of kind of like what Jen said. I feel like I can stand by that I role-played every character as best as I could with the improvisational role that a narrator has to do. So I'm pretty proud of how it all turned out in the end. And I don't think I feel like I picked who the characters were either very quickly when I had to, improvise, or planned it enough that they all were true to themselves from their introduction. But as a narrator, travel distance and time passed and travel, I have learned is my weakness. And my biggest thing looking back on the season is it was 2 weeks, and that makes me a little bit sad. Like, I wish I had have padded that out a little bit. It wouldn't have taken longer in episode time, but I feel like as a narrator, I felt like I could have increased the scope and reality of it a little bit more by just building into that time passing thing. And I that's what I want to get better at for season 2 for sure, because it will mean you can all do more and see more.
Yeah, totally.
But it will also feel like, okay, it makes sense that a war has been going on for a month and we're halfway through the campaign, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that. But that will also take discussion as to how we fill that time and how we make that satisfying to the viewer.
Totally.
I'd be interested to know feedback on that in the comments or wherever, anyone who has thoughts on building into the grand scope of something. But
Something that can help, you've got maps, is to put a hex grid over them.
yeah.
And then put a little color code as to the types of terrain and how that slows things. And then
It's called a heuristic.
it's called a heuristic. And then also have like a multiplier. So you could be like, okay, well, road is 1 day travel for 1 hex. And then you go like, well, the forest is 2 days, the plains is 2 days. The
My
thing's
problem
3.
with doing that is it locks me into definites.
But you have to be if you want it to be consistent. Because then on the side, you also get to go like, on foot with cart, and then you get to go like horse, messenger horse.
I guess
And you
my
can have, like,
main
different
problem
speeds.
is, okay, let's say I figure that out and that's fine. Sure. Like, let's say I do that for season 2. But the problem is, like, you camp for 3 nights to reach this place. It's like, which night do we pick to roleplay camping? Or do we do bits of each day? Or, you know, that's basically my, like, I want to figure that
that's
out.
the forever issue of all role-playing
Yeah.
games ever. Traveling in roleplay is the hardest thing.
Well, and in D&D and in like group play, when it is an indefinite thing, you don't have a season. It makes sense to just keep playing, right? And then when it gets boring, you fast track it a bit. When we're telling a story we have an audience for, I think we're all cognizant of the fact that that's the reality. So we're sort of like needing to feel like
Maybe-
the next step is watchable.
Maybe it's a separate mechanic that Kojin could have, is traveling parties, and like you roll a d20 and then depending you can pick
Yeah.
on a chart or something like that. I don't know.
I feel like there might even be something in there.
Who
Random
knows?
encounter chart. I feel like that was some. No,
Yeah, but random
Oh, an encounter,
encounters. There's as many cons as pros. I think you can just as easily agree to have like a summary thing where you do like,
Yeah, totally.
okay,
Yeah.
we're journeying for 3 days, and be like, because Jazza knows nothing is happening in those 3 days, there's no major interactions, then, you know, you can set the status quo that each player can kind of prompt something, and if
Yeah.
they don't want to, they don't have to. So I
I
can be
like
like,
that.
on the second night, and we can just do it. I'll be like, oh, one of the nights on the campfire, Delvin approaches Catalina.
And that's cool. And that gives you room to sort of like on the first night, there's a seed of a relationship spark here. And then on the third night, they act on that in a way that I like that idea. And I'd like to sort of lean into that a little more in season 2.
Cool.
Okay. So Gerdine or Gerdine?
Geraldine?
Gerdine.
Well, I have to tell you that my phone is dead. So.
Okay. Mine is on the dying track. Says, how do you feel about making this Sunday season into a written version, short novel of sorts? I will never do it personally.
When?
Yeah. I'm more. I like the idea of it being an audio drama, but that would also come from it being well, it sort of is.
Yeah. I feel like a comic would be pretty cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, I sort
In
of.
fact, I
graphic
think
novel?
reboot as a comic would also be fucking cool.
Graphic novel.
I feel more drawn in that direction than a novel, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a novel has to be really well crafted. I think graphic novel.
Leeway.
The novel element, I feel like Sunder's ticking the boxes personally, and definitely reboot, where there's enough story and scope to feel really substantial.
Yeah.
But I think anything that becomes a novel has to stand by every word really well, and there's a lot more in it. Well, I say there's a lot more. There's a lot more in it that I don't understand, but a graphic novel I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's the like visual element to it. I think brings a lot when you've put a lot of thought into it as well.
Yeah.
So it would
I
make a really
can
good graphic novel.
compose the whole thing in storyboards and it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
writing it, I'm like, I have to convince people I know how to write stuff. Like,
yeah. That's a whole other kettle.
That's
Yeah.
really tough.
yeah.
It is. It's
How do you
tough.
mean? In what
But
way?
Literally what you said, I was just saying yes, and then everyone looked at me like I was.
I was going to say something more. That's all.
I wasn't being facetious. I was just going, yeah, that's really tough. I'm teetering on the verge of writing a novel alongside season 2 of Reboot,
Cool.
but it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's interesting because the novel I want to write is basically the story of Ugly, like him from age.
The ugly truth by Dave.
TMZ.
No, I love
Basically,
that idea.
from him from age, whatever age, he starts his journey in the slums, all the way up to establishing his enterprise, meeting Zhang and everyone, and then hiring S
Way
Effect.
walks through the door.
The book will end with him hiring S Effect.
I highly encourage you to do that, not only for our audience, but also,
So we can turn into a graphic novel.
yeah, as someone who makes a lot of crap, a lot of good stuff I'm proud of. I don't mean crap as in bad stuff. I just mean stuff. I output a lot of stuff, and stuff always gets better. So, like, I know if you did something, it would be good. But I know you tend to be quite harsh. You have quite harsh standards on yourself. So I think your best thing would be to do it and put it out, and then feel like, okay, I should do it better and do the next one. But you have to put it out, and I reckon that would be awesome.
It's the same with art. You always need to finish the piece. You never stop, and then you say that's finished, and then you move on to the next one.
Don't start the novel that never ends. Just start it, end it, and let it be good enough so you can do the next thing. That'd be really cool because I want to read it.
Yeah.
You mean listen?
Well, I think
No,
Reboot's
that's not
only
true.
gonna be-
I want to listen to it
I was gonna say audiobook,
once you
yeah.
narrate the audiobook.
I think
I'll
there's
listen
only going
it.
to be 2 seasons of Reboot.
You reckon?
I think that it will end at season 2 unless it's very, very popular. And then I will do one of those things like a showrunner of a TV show where I actually halfway through go, oh, this is really popular. I need to start planning for season 3. But I do intend, I think, on wrapping it up in season 2. And I think that I have plans on running a fantasy thing of my own. So I'd very much like to run a fantasy campaign after, or a sci-fi. So either hard sci-fi like space adventure, or it would be a non-European fantasy. So it would be either like inspired by like Japanese myth or like
Can I
probably
pose
Japanese myth.
Can I pose a question to the group and just cut in between all of
Yeah,
our
go
patrons?
for it.
Following on what Dave said, for you two, what is another theme for a campaign you would run if you could DM?
That is feels like such a big question. Go.
I have so many ideas.
Okay.
So many. I have like half developed like 3 and a bit campaigns in the last 18 months.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
That's okay. Can you give us themes or?
Yeah. And it's really funny because the one I've spent the most time on is the stupidest one. It's a Western.
Yes!
That's cool.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'll be
And
damn,
I love
Rob.
it. I love it.
You might just have yourself your first player, my
boy.
friend.
That's what I mean. It's the
Yeehaw.
stupidest idea. And
Could you run it as an 8-part?
maybe.
Because that I don't
gears are
think it would
turning.
be wise to commit to for a full season.
And I
But
agree with
I
that,
think
because it's
to commit to the flavour for like an 8-episode mini series would be. I'd totally be behind.
Well, I'll be a
something like
monkey's uncle. Might just get off the
Yeah.
ground.
I reckon I could probably like mash it together to do that.
that. That'd be really cool.
The reason I don't want to put too much time into it though is because all I can think of is exactly what Dave's just done. It's 4 Australians putting on terrible Southern accents.
I
that's
love
right.
the
Campaign.
idea of vocal coach group stuff or individual stuff, but
Yes.
I feel like we're all on board to the extent that like we like adding as much realism as possible and feeling
Totally.
empowered to do that.
Are you saying work-related vocal coaching? Oh no, I'd hate
Yeah,
to do
oh,
that
that
and learn how to be a better voice actor. Oh no.
It's one of the reasons that Brick was really fun for me. It's the first time I've really put on a voice.
Yeah.
And like I
You did it
used,
so well.
Are you going to be sad going back to Seb?
kind of.
Are you going to why don't you find a voice? There's no reason there isn't a new
Yeah.
voice for Seb in season 2.
Or
Or even just
Seb got kicked in the throat 20
Actually,
times and now
you
he
know,
has throat kick voice.
I have already thought about giving him a new voice, and I actually thought of a storyline that would work for it in a way.
Okay. He got kicked in the throat 20 times.
Worse.
He got stabbed in the
Removed?
throat. He got his
Yeah,
throat ripped out.
Yeah.
I had to get a
Oh
replacement.
my god, you could be like Deadpool and he could have baby throat.
Hello, I'm Seb.
My larynx.
My larynx is regrowing.
That's it. That's what he does. He comes in and goes,
Yeah, but putting on the voice for Brick, even though it was with a modulator, was like such an interesting challenge. And like I knew going into it, if I did it for episode 1, I had to do it for everything.
Yeah.
Because there are other like small one shots and small mini campaigns we've done where I've put on a voice and it's only
it was
lasted for a little
such a
bit.
good proof of concept, though. It worked so well.
Yeah.
It
I
worked
was
really well.
was
I
really
find it
happy
during
with it.
when I don't hear Brick's voice come out of your mouth. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. Like,
It's weird. I watch the videos though, and I can hear it better with the modulator on the video.
Yeah.
I still like it,
yeah.
but in my head, his voice is different because I hear my own voice.
Yeah.
And they were like making up bullshit Brick quotes in Discord the other day, and I'm like, yeah, I get to listen to that in Brick's voice, like free of charge.
We've gone through like tangent after tangent. But in answer to
Spaghetti
Jen's
Western,
question, my thought would have to be something futuristic, just because D&D will always tend towards D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and I will always tend towards medieval fantasy, and there's Sunder, which I'm already committed to. So, but at the same time, like, if someone else is narrating it, it should be open to what they want to run.
So
Yeah,
for me, if I was running the next thing after Reboot, I'm literally 50-50. But if I ran sci-fi, I would want to run like the Expanse style hard, like dirty, gritty sci-fi where like, obviously there'd be some really sci-fi elements to make things work, like fast and light travel or whatever. But like that gritty, like the vibe of basically cowboys in space, not actually cowboys, but like it's the frontier.
Yeah.
You know, people are struggling, supplies are scarce, people have like beat up old ships that they've jury rigged together, but then the like government ships come through and they're all sleek and covered in military weapons, and they're like, all our fucking taxes go to this and there's no one we're even fighting. Why do they need, you know, that kind of world where it's like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Like Farscape?
Yeah.
Farscape, is that where they're, or is it Firefly, where they're like the government is like super funded and high
Firefly.
tech?
Yeah. Firefly / Serenity.
Serenity.
Yeah. It was super cool. 50-50. What's the other 50, Dave?
Oh, it was basically Japanese or basically fantasy, but like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, like that kind of like
Dark fantasy.
D&D, but not D&D, but based in a different culture. So you have like
so cool.
Oni and like
Yokai.
the yokai and stuff,
Yeah,
rather
cool.
than that, and you're in a completely different environment where it's all
One of my longer running group campaigns from way back was based in an existing property. Shin Megami Tensei?
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
Personas. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
I know fuck all about it, but I've played in the world for years.
I know
That's so
a
cool.
decent amount.
And I played Quetzalcoatl or some like...
You actually played as one of the demons, the personas in Persona.
I don't know. But I played as like an Aztec god.
Yeah.
And we were all like gods or whatever.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
That was like one.
okay.
Anyway,
I love
I don't know.
that.
I just add that tidbit.
Yeah.
I'm
But
completely.
no, cultural stuff, cool.
Shin
Yeah.
Megami Tensei is fun because it's all the cultures.
Yeah.
Because the idea is basically it's reflections
the-
of belief. So like every universal world culture actually is manifested as different deities and creatures, and they're all in the same melting pot, which is fun.
I want to super quickly just say that if I had the opportunity and I got a lot better and a lot more confident, I would run like dark fantasy or like Cthulhu or like
Oh, like
crime.
gothic?
Yeah. Like vampires, werewolves, or Cthulhu.
I want to run a Souls style so badly. Like a
That'd
From
be
Software
cool.
style game. Like it would not necessarily
Yeah.
in that world, but that like
That vibe.
Horror,
5,000 years ago, the height of society has fallen, and you are like the dregs of a dead golden age in this fucking brutal, dark
sick.
world. I just love it.
Sorry.
Comments on all platforms, please.
Yeah.
Feedback, because there's a few things thrown out here, and the reality is a campaign is a commitment.
Yeah,
so
totally.
all of that is very cool stuff. We could certainly dive into as players, but you know, listeners and viewers are a big part of that choice.
We need to know what you want, because we don't want to go into this maiden list. We need to really understand what we're getting into,
Yeah,
and whether we're
absolutely.
supported.
Yeah. Amy Huntley has a few questions. They're all pretty small, so I'll just go
No
through
idea
them.
what that they didn't catch the reference.
No.
I think I
It's
did,
Elden
but-
Ring. It's
Okay.
Elden Ring.
Q1. What were the Shadows and Harold's powers? I'll get to magic later. Q2, how exactly did Mikey get his mouth back? It was an illusion, is the answer. Q3, were there other prisoners
Getting late,
In the
it's
dungeon.
There were.
Yeah. There may have
I
been.
forgot to do a
but
perception check because I was too busy
You
running.
didn't go down any more stairs.
Unfortunately,
The stairs would have gone
a building
underground.
fell on
That is
them.
true.
It was underground, so you don't know.
Yeah, someone did mention it because I was watching Twitch. Someone was like, "Is anyone in the dungeon?" I'm like, "Oh no,
I'm not dead.
I'm just not gonna
Osbert just chilling down there.
gonna leave it alone."
Question 4. Since Catalina's harp was first owned by her father, was the magic his first? Which I kind of alluded to before.
kinda
The answer
did.
is yes, but I wouldn't say he had skills in magic per se, but it was the origins of the magic within the harp, and that's a whole separate little
magic
story.
item,
Yeah,
essentially.
but Catalina got skills. That's really
she
what it
got
comes
skills.
down. Yeah. Q5. Are they picking up sausage on the way to the barrows?
We dropped him off at the
Yeah,
town.
but you have to circle back unless you can send a message to get him chucked on a raft upstream. Yeah, we
Surely. Oh, we'll go back and get him.
can. I'm getting the nods like that better fucking happen. Or else.
that pony better be there.
Yeah. all right. Jeez, the pony's coming. This pony is going to be dragged across the sea and on every adventure. He'll have seen Felmore and Thanisia and the.
I'm going to now
Watchful.
treat him like a king and make Mikey watch. And be like, Mikey,
Take care of your pony.
this is what loyalty looks like.
You see how he's staying where I left him?
Yeah.
It's good.
You see how his flanks are becoming fat with the food that I provide him because he's happy and does the right thing.
Tickle duck. Question 1, will you continue working on the bestiary? Quick answer is yes. The other 2 questions, magic tome, I will go through that later in the this video. So question 3, would Jazza and Dave be willing to make a video on how you guys go about making large roleplay campaigns and worlds?
Oh, I'm about to make one, so I think probably.
I think that would be a good Patreon. You know how
Well,
you
actually-
guys do the one-on-ones? Yeah.
Actually, we're excited to be presenting by World Anvil. Bit of a
Yeah, we're.
world creators guide.
Great. I want to watch that.
Yeah, we're going to do a bit of a run through about how we both approach building worlds, and yeah.
I'll give you a first free tip. Step 1, lay in bed with insomnia and listen to your brain as it goes whoop, 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 whoop.
Get out of my head.
All right. Rebecca Falage says, question for Rob. Since Phalancool are being bred, I'd assume that Brick had a lot of half-siblings. What kind of relationship would they, if any?
I thought that question was going in a different direction.
Yeah, me too. Is there anyone Brick is closer to? Maybe someone to contact?
So my head canon for Brick, because we really don't know much about his past, is it?
You're the run of the litter. That was what I remember.
Yeah,
Or have you
he
changed
is
it?
the runt of the litter, but before he was a certain, you can feel free to dispute any of this, but in my head canon.
Give me your headcanon.
Yeah, so prior to him being in service to Medela's family, he was actually trained as a warrior for the Phelan. And, they're militaristic in a way, so there's large groups of these Phalancool warriors. And the group that Brick was in was sent off to do some dirty work and fight some people. And essentially, these were the people that he was raised with and trained with for the majority of his life. And then they were all slaughtered, and he was the sole survivor. And that's one of the reasons why failure is a really big thing for him. Failure in his duties, because it's not so much about fighting to kill people; it's fighting to protect, and that means protecting.
Is that how he lost his ear?
Yes, your brothers in arms, and he's let them down and failed, and he was the last one. And returning back to Phelan society as a runt that lived, he's kind of like even more shunned, and
Maybe they let him live
maybe, who knows?
as like a
I
disrespect thing.
can't wait to see how all that unfolds. It's so exciting to me, just like
Yeah.
the impact that players can have on the world. Like I made the whole world hoping that it would be torn apart and fall apart brick by brick in the way that the players want, which is really fun. Brick by brick.
Yeah, but the crux of it is that yes, there were people that he did like, and he was close to, and he failed them.
I think my world building input on that just also maybe I guess you to sort of take and think about as well is basically like the allusion to Orphan Ainsley. He basically bought 2 Phalancool to breed. Basically, it's like added value in his mind. But yeah, it's 100% treated like livestock in Phalan society, treated like livestock, meaning bred in the same way as horses or Drakkar or whatever, but also like, you know, take the kids away and put that's the strong one. Let's put them on the front lines. You know what I mean? So family isn't really a thing for the Phalancool, whereas a kinsmanship or a brotherhood certainly would be, because that's all they would have.
Kind of natural to develop that if that's all
but
you
be pretty
have.
buried. So you sort of find ways to conceal it in a way that the Phalancool in their minds could see it as acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for the question. That was a really cool question.
It's sad.
Casey Brown. Chef's kiss. Oh, thank you. Wait, am I skipping? I'm skipping. Sorry. Swimming scribe. You're next, Casey Brown. No cutting. I just skipped. Sorry. Swimming scribe. Thank you for the compliments. Question 1 and 2. 1, if Delvin had not been forced to reveal his combat abilities and subsequently his Sparrow persona, were you planning to reveal the Sparrow this season or keep it secret even longer?
Oh, I know the answer to this one.
I think I know the answer to this one.
And the question 2 sort of feeds into that. If you plan to reveal the Sparrow this season, how and when would you know it would have happened? So it's basically talking about what if we didn't.
Jazza was team reveal Sparrow. I was team don't reveal Sparrow. And, you know, as Jazza said earlier in this video, we went back and forth and ultimately made compromises both and agreed both to what we thought would serve the story better. But I think originally I was pushing... what I wanted was it to be the Watcher reveal to be a bigger deal in the Ainsley negotiations at the end, and him being a Watcher being the season 1 reveal, and then Sparrow kind of percolating over the first part of season 2, and then the whole Barrow and Revolution thing and that becoming part of it. But all odds of that happening disappeared when we met the Terminator in guard armor, and we needed to kill him. Yeah, because there was no other way out for Delvin.
Which I find really interesting, because it was maybe 2 or 3 episodes prior to that we basically had a chat, and I was like, I really think it's got to be this season, because I felt like the Sparrow reveal being separate from I felt 2 things. Separating those 2 reveals would kill the potency of the second reveal, but also having the second reveal a season later would totally be like, this isn't a moment anymore. It's like you'd have to build up from scratch. So it sort of felt like it was becoming an arc of the first season to me, and obviously as the narrator, I sort of like have to feel my way through the arc and talk to Dave about that. And you were really on board at every step about, like, you were really open about it, but you were also really open with your feelings of what would be cool and the ways you envision things, and I really wanted to make sure that I think was looked after.
Rob and I were similar, and we both had a really clear end goal that was kind of at odds with playing a role-playing game.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm honest, we both wanted a thing, and you were waiting for it in the last episode. You wanted a moment that you'd kind of planned, and I was the same with Sparrow, where I had this image of, I really wanted Ainsley to not know I was the Sparrow, and me to basically be like, ha-ha, and reveal to everyone that I had all these talents and abilities, and be really cool and epic and save the day.
Yeah.
And it was like, but it just wasn't going to happen.
And it would have been so hard to role play the finale. Like, it just would have been impossible.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, do you know what I also love? How organic all this stuff is in the end. Sorry, I need to switch to like the bloody Delvin portrait. There we go. I love how organic it is in the end, where like...
I'm in charge next season.
Yeah, no, I'm in trouble. I love how, like, it's almost like the finale encapsulated what the theme of the first season was, which was about freedom and about self-sacrifice and putting others first. And I just thought that was so cool. And I think, yeah, like, you sacrificed a vision of like the Sparrow reveal, and that was part of your own story, but then that actually tied into that seasonal theme, which is really cool.
And you got merch, so
yeah,
dude,
like,
it's the coolest merch.
I love how, like, organically stuff comes up. Like, Brick's intent was never to be like I didn't go into this thinking, I'm going to make a slave character and his goal is to be free. It was never the intent.
Yeah.
And then, I don't
No,
know.
but by like episode 12 or so, you definitely expressed that you had a vision of like what would be cool. Not necessarily what you.
Yeah.
It was like, what will be an awesome. Wouldn't it be great if Brick could do this betrayal thing and get Ainsley?
Yeah. 100% that was exactly it. But that's mostly because I didn't expect the ownership of my character to be transferred to a maniacally evil person.
Fucking hell, man. You played us so many times.
I
and
loved the party
I
tension.
can't be played. You can't play me. You can't play me anymore. I'm going to be the narrator, and my power kick's already starting.
The sad reality for you, though, is you can't hurt me because I love the pain. I fucking love it.
You know, there's a
You'll be
hard-
like, oh, I'm going to get you. I'll be like, yeah, get me. Yeah.
he could just
do it worse.
he could just kill
make
you
me
in a
cry.
really-
Please make me cry.
What if it's like he kills you in a really unsatisfying way?
Oh, yeah,
gets-
now that's probably it.
Explain.
Yeah.
just get an
the way
infection.
you really get at me is to be a shitty narrator. Like, that's really going to hurt. Like,
Auntie Donna style, you've got cancer.
yeah.
I'm
Brutal.
sorry, what? No, you just do.
Yeah.
So, on that note,
Casey Brown, how did you think of this world and characters? I think they're world building questions. How did you think of this world and characters? Because the second is, was there anything left out? Places, people, etc. I was in Tahiti, had a lot of time, and it was relaxing, and I was building cogent roleplay.
Oh, so then for the thing that you two record, the first point is go on a holiday. If you want to build your own world, go
Is
on a
it?
holiday.
all
Well,
right,
it seems
Jen,
like
I
it.
get the picture. We can't go anywhere because the world is locked down
Go
or at war.
the beach.
Or going anywhere costs an absurd amount in fuel.
Yeah, true.
Not in
True.
plane tickets.
Not in plane
Go
tickets.
to
We
the
saw a $300
park.
return ticket to Hawaii.
Oh.
Take it.
That's not how life works, Rob, but it was a cool thing to see.
Rob's like, I'm booking tickets to Hawaii. See ya.
Hard ticket to Hawaii.
Hey.
Hey, B-movie. There was a thing.
What's the thing?
Oh, had you read any books on your holiday? Or prior to your holiday?
No, because I don't read books. I listen to books.
Even 7 years ago, you didn't read books?
Yeah.
Did you listen to books 7 years ago?
Yeah, I did. But,
Were there any prolific authors around the time that you were interested in?
oh, I see where you're going, you cheeky shit. I hadn't read it, by the way,
Has
at
Rob
that stage.
already gone through that?
Yeah, I
Don't
hadn't
you
read it.
hate that?
Yeah. And I sort of get where the accusation's coming from. The accusation.
It's not an accusation.
No, it's a funny observation.
observation that there are parallels between Brandon Sanderson's world building and Sunder, which I can see, but at the same time, I think there's also stuff that hasn't been revealed that is a bit different. He said defensively.
Oh. I wrote Reboot and fucking, was it Beyond Detroit Beyond Human or Cyberpunk 2077? One of the two came out.
It was 2077.
After I had written Reboot, but before we had started it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. All these people like, that's so much like this. And I'd neither played a second of Detroit Become Human, nor had I played a second of Cyberpunk 2077. And there were all these parallels. I'm like, no, it's just coincidental because the fucking theme has tropes.
It's
By the
easy
way,
to draw
total tangent. But in the video where I recorded with Rumi and we were reacting to my music stuff, and one of them was my voiceover dub of Rebecca Black's Friday, where I said, I did it first and Brock Thingo copied me. Yeah. He commented in that video saying, yeah, I totally copied you. Yes! I was like, fucking vindication. 2 days later after my Rebecca Black video, he has the audacity to release one better than me and get 40 million views. Piece of wonderful person who owned up to that, and he made a better one. Well done, bro.
Right there is where men find the audacity.
Sorry, where were we? Anyway, tangents. Dutch Nicole. Thank you for the amazing season. Oh, thank you for the amazing compliment and your patronage. Question. I love the way Brick decided to resist Ainsley and stand up for his friends and other failing. How did this feel for the other players?
Oh.
That's a cool question. Yeah. We had a Rob question. This was like Rob question. Everyone but Rob. All right.
That's good.
I think it was okay. So Rob came to us and was like, I want to do X, right? And we were like, that's cool. It's your character moment, all good. And it wasn't what he did. He told us about something else.
Yeah.
And what are you doing?
Nothing.
Okay. You've completely thrown me off now.
Why did you get thrown off? It's showbiz,
You were like-
baby.
You're
just
waving
gotta-
your hand in her face.
No, I was just fixing the
you went
camera.
like this first.
He didn't tell us what he was doing. I thought it was really cool because it was super unexpected and it just felt really, really right. And I was so certain that I knew you were gonna sort of side with Ainsley, but then I didn't know what you were going to do from that.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were going to fight, if you're going to stand back and go whatever, take Medela and run. I don't know. So I thought it was really, really cool.
I was really frustrated it took you so long to do anything.
So
Yeah.
I want to defend that.
That's
You
that's
don't
how
have to
you
defend it.
that's how you
No,
function in role.
Because
it's-
I get it. That's saying Dave was frustrated,
Yeah.
but I understand why it happened the way it happened and it was fine. But from a mechanical point of view, I'm like, we're fucking dead. I'm like, if you don't do anything
Nothing
now,
had
we're
happened
dead.
yet. So that was the major thing. Nothing had happened yet that made me want to play my hand, right? It was waiting for that tipping point where it was, if I don't do this,
Yeah.
then everything I've gained, I've lost. Like everything that I've gained so far, while we've been playing, is gone. Because you'll be dead, Medela will be dead, and I'll be permanently enslaved.
Brick as a character needed to know that the time had come for him to do what had to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that plays into the cat read my emotions, and it was just nothing but inner turmoil and conflict.
Yeah. I just love that line. That is why we are broken. What was that in response to again? What was there was a line before that gave that context.
Ooh.
But when you delivered that, there was definitely at the table this moment of like, oh damn.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was like a.
Mic drop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got really into that at the time.
It was,
Yeah, it was great.
so good.
I feel like it
so
was
good.
like a character assessment of the people who were being duplicitous and mean or ruling you, wasn't it?
Something like that.
It's like we can't do this. We can't disobey or something.
Yeah.
It was something like that. Anyway, I also love that. Like, I think what was it? The plant in your mind from Melba is like that. You're not broken. Like that. I didn't think that would be a thing. That was actually me as a narrator being like, do something. Come on, start shifting shit.
Patience.
Yeah, but it was like one of those little things that like that became a little theme. And actually, the fact that that questions come up multiple times about Brick's choice and the fact that we all had that response really feels like actually Brick's arc is one of the major story of season one because it was about Medela. Everyone was there to rescue Medela, and Brick needed to switch for Medela, for the party, and for season two. So it really does feel like that moment, and why that felt so cool was because that was like, here we are. It's happened.
I was surprised that you didn't have a moment. There were a few opportunities that Dalvin and Brick had to have a moment, and we'd kind of briefly discussed that we would potentially have a moment, and you didn't choose to take that opportunity. Why was that?
You went in the bathhouse.
No.
Wait, what?
Oh my God, you're thinking of something very different to me. No. So what I was thinking of is prior to
That's our beach episode. Is back to the bathhouse.
prior to the session, I was kind of like, Dalvin needs Brick. This was out of character between Rob and I. Like Dalvin just needs Brick to just say
it didn't
anything.
happen. It didn't happen.
But I was like, why didn't you do that? So what I had said was, I'm like, if Brick just says like, trust me, or like one not even 100% concrete, but just a statement of intent that wasn't even a statement of intent, just something like that, like trust me. Then that, like, I was like, and that didn't happen. And I was like, why didn't it happen, Rob?
Yeah, so I would say it didn't happen because things were going really slowly. And then it was on.
Yeah.
I was expecting a ramp up, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the one I've said to Jazza. The one thing if I had my cake and eat it too, I would have liked a little bit more Ains. I mean, in hindsight, we had no time to do it, but a little bit more Ainsley sort of making a stew in what he'd accomplished and had that villain time of like, I have got your mother imprisoned and your dad.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
And that is one of those things that, like, yeah, in hindsight, I wish I sort of did that a little more. But yeah, I guess, and maybe we should have split the finale and had 24 chapters realistically, you know, to have a little
was
bit of
awesome
breathing
as it
room.
was.
But as one chapter, it all felt really
Yeah.
like a lot happened. It was really intense, which I like as well. So
I'm
it's a
super
balancing act.
curious. I have to know. This is the only opportunity we're going to have to do it. It's the Q&A. Everyone at the table, what was your emergency plan? What was your final moment
In the finale,
in your everything has gone to shit, and this includes you as narrator? What was the plan for your last ditch? How were you getting out of that situation or digging yourself
I
deeper
think
into it?
that Catalina wasn't she was willing to sacrifice herself if it meant.
But what did that mean? Sacrificing, just hide under a table and get
No.
stabbed?
It was Medela was first priority. So even if it was shoving her out a window or putting her in Brick's arms or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Learn to fly.
Yeah.
use your magic.
Yeah, exactly. Or even that, breaking the harp was always something that was in the back of my mind where I'm like, this is going to be worst case scenario is that this harp goes. And sacrificing her power. So, and I mean, that's what happened. But yeah, so that was
Did
kind
it
of,
though?
yeah, well, yeah, it didn't happen the way I thought it would. Well, she thought it would happen anyway. But
Oh, I see. Because you thought you'd be losing.
I thought that was
Yeah.
it. Done. Because you had warned me before that,
Yeah.
magic will go
I'm
until later.
glad I warned you at the start of the season.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that was mine.
It's tough. And I feel like the earthquake definitely didn't help. I reckon any plans I had for a last-ditch attempt were ruined by the fact that the building was collapsing.
Yeah.
But I'd agree with Kat in regards to, Brick's first priority would be Medela. But I also logically wouldn't see a way out of that situation. If you're stuck in the tower surrounded by guards, you have to go in the tower, so it's full of guards. So, I mean, put Medela in a corner or stand in front of her and just be like, come at me, right?
I had already begun my plan. So everything I had got to a point where I decided.
The boombox.
I was like, we're done. I thought we'd lost.
When?
Honestly, the entire encounter felt so oppressive because we had no means to resist it beyond me. And if I'd lost my mana on the first two rolls, I don't understand how we could have possibly come out of that. So I guess that's underestimating how 7 watchers would have just killed people mathematically, just moved through and slaughtered everyone.
Yeah.
But maybe not too fail and cool though. So there were a lot of factors that started coming to the fore that made everything better.
Yeah.
I can take 6.
Hey, I mean, you were done in the alley.
Yeah.
I just, that's
of course.
Anyway, I just love how
But
that all
Delvin's
comes
thinking
together.
was he was done. And my player thinking was, okay, now's the time to make the move. And that move was I'd already done it. I grabbed the box. And I was going to run while the person, the tatters had just been stabbed. I was going to run straight past them through the canvas and run straight up to Ainsley and just blow us both to fuck in the corridor and just kill us both in the moment and not care about anything. Just be like, if Catalina and Brick together can get out of here with Medela and I've got rid of Ainsley, then I've done my job.
Do you want to know what mine was?
Mm-hmm.
I had a plan the whole time. My plan was actually,
Ascension?
well, what was my plan became the fallback because I'd switched tack in sacrificing Medela. But actually, all along, the bells
Oh, yeah, right.
served no purpose in the end.
Yes.
But the original purpose was a time marker. Before, to sort of okay, the earthquake is coming sort of thing. I was just trying to create a point outside of the room that could ring a bell because literally my original thought of how that would unfold is I would make, frankly, an almost impossible room. And it was set up to...
At the moment of defeat, the earthquake gave us an opportunity.
Well, yes, and then also at the moment of someone's death, which I felt was pretty likely. I kind of built the room that way.
Yeah.
Because Ainsley would have, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's face it, he stacked all the cards against you. So I was like playing to that. And that it would have been like, that was the moment where Medela's magic would be unleashed, and it would literally rewind everything up to the moment that, and I wrote his speech of like, welcome back, you blah, blah. I would have read that again. It would have been like, this would have been playing, and you would have seen, all three of you would have seen everything go back in slow motion until you're standing there at the entryway. And then it would have been back to the, welcome back.
You should have done that.
That would have been
But then how would we have had the advantage?
Do you know
from that
what
point
though?
onwards?
I 100% was getting the vibes. 5 minutes in, I'm like, holy shit, this is and you woke up and it was all a dream. It would just take all of the work everyone had done. Yeah. Everyone was fighting so hard through that meeting, and I was stupid to not factor that in.
It was a fantastic. No, that the fact that you changed your mind, but you had it there. That's really cool. Because you had your, if everything goes to fuck and it's unsatisfying, I can rewind it, but it's already there.
Yeah.
It's not cheating if it's there. Zhang driving the van in the alley, like the pieces were there to help the players.
Yeah. And I guess then my answer is like, I made the impossible room and I thought it was, but it wasn't actually, because I didn't want the players to fail. And the fact that they overcame the room 100% overrode my thought for what would be the story, which I think was, it turned out cooler.
Thanks,
right?
Dice.
Speaking of the impossible room, do you want to see the impossible room?
Yes, because Dave and I drew a
map.
Oh my God, it's so
it's
small.
so small.
It's so small.
It's completely the opposite to how Rob and I thought of it.
Yeah, we both drew maps of what we thought it was like, and they were completely different.
Okay, so podcast listeners can't see, but it's basically like that's the size of the table. I had you like 1.5 meters away from the table each.
That's pretty much.
That's the size of the chandelier. The red. So you pictured this?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So Jen was on board. I tried to
Medela
describe it.
was probably a little bit further back, but like,
This is
about right.
nothing like how I pictured it.
There's a fireplace. I scribbled that because I thought there's fire that Jen might use. There's the shadow. There's Hawks, Mish, Medela.
Spatial awareness is so important.
Yeah.
Because
Imagine if we had
so many
minis.
decisions where there was confusion.
I was going to make a map version that didn't have all my clues. The red is like secret arrow mechanism, secret ballista thing, and then that's the trap. So that's my code. There's like traps, illusions. I added a couple in improv in roleplay. That's the coldish pick.
Yeah.
So it's all pretty much there.
That makes everything makes so much more sense when I see the room like that. Because there was decisions where I'm like, I stand up and walk across the table, and you were like, okay, you step on the table and step on him, and I'm like, I'm picturing this massive like political boardroom table that I like sprint down the table
I
and
pictured
dive
you jumped on this round table 1.5 meters from Ainsley, but I should have, maybe I should have done an actual map, or I was tempted to get Alicia, but she was finishing the poster that day. I was going to get her make a quick, like spend an hour to make a rough 3D representation, but anyway.
It's fine. We'll have minis next time.
Yeah. So I think there's only.
I just want to say that second backup plan you had, I reckon it could have been really fucking cool if we had failed and everything was going to hell as the world exploded, and then Medela did a fancy magic power, sacrificed herself, sent us back in time, but cognizant of everything that had just happened.
Yes, you would have.
With clues that you would have left in for
the
how
impossible,
to beat the room.
Exactly.
And so that would have been fucking badass.
Yeah, well.
I would love that.
Well,
no,
that
but
was
Medela would have been dead. So
I understand.
Well, the fact that Medela's magic, because the Medela's magic thing was always going to happen in a moment, and the moment had to be smaller because it was, which meant the call from Medela's magic would have been much smaller as well. So it still risked her, but nowhere near as much. And the fact that then Dave was like, "It's going to be an 18," and it was just like
that was pretty funny.
Cherry on the cake of the season for me. That was so good.
I will give you. I'll give you an old bit of GM wisdom though.
Yeah.
That would have saved a bit of trouble for you.
Yeah.
If you don't want a success or a failure, don't let players roll a dice. So the ballista thing, you could have just done it. Like, because I felt like we felt it was really cool what happened, but there was all this fighting against you because we were trying to save our characters, and it made this friction where we're like, but But I want to use my armor. I want to do this. No, you've got these rolls. You've got this. We've got to do everything we can to fight you so that we can survive.
Yeah.
And it just meant that, like,
I felt like I'd been
afterwards-
doing that to a degree. Like, you don't get armor save because it's a mechanical trap and whatever, but like.
But for the set piece, because
really
afterwards
didn't wanna-
I felt dumb. I was like, oh, it's a set piece. I felt like an idiot.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd been mashing the controller in a cutscene trying to swing my weapon, like.
What was the set piece?
The ballista shot and Medela's magic, because it
Yeah,
didn't
okay.
matter what the results of the dice were. Medela's magic was always going to stop it because
Yeah.
that was the set piece. And it's
Yeah.
fine to have narrative set pieces. It's cool to have narrative set pieces. But by doing the roll thing, it was 5 minutes of us arguing over whether or not Brick would take damage or not. And mathematically, Brick actually just would have taken no damage
Well,
from that
that's
shot.
what I did. The set piece I did definitely override was the harp. Like, when you started to be more on board, I was like, you ain't rolling for this one. This one just happens the way
Yeah.
I need to say it happens.
Yeah.
Because that one had, because especially, in fact, actually, I'll put it to this: a shard had to break, and it was either Medela or the harp.
And let a little fairy out.
Yeah.
That's in my new fan theory, by the way.
And by the way, if Medela had have died, she wouldn't have died. And this was the bittersweet thing I did love, because her magic is time and space. Brick would have continued to dream. Medela would.
Oh.
I know.
Ooh.
It's a lot, but it's also like
My heart back.
Yeah.
yeah.
Would Brick have got the time and space magic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy.
That's all right. It's interesting.
So
'cause
I can still kill it.
I said it. I think I said it in Discord or Twitch chat last week. Rob wants Brick to have magic. Brick has no interest in magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the set piece of the rewind that I had in my head, it would have involved this sort of transference that Delvin would have understood, but that everyone would have sort of witnessed. That would have been.
I do love the idea of Brick not getting magic, because I also love the idea of Brick becoming like the archetypal new example of a magic fighter who doesn't have magic. I love the idea of, as Delvin gets better, imbuing all Brick's equipment with triggered, so Brick can trigger, so he can be like, hoorah, and it does a thing, and like it shoots fire off his armor or whatever.
That'd be cool.
Brick is like all his equipment, his barter, he can be like, karate, and then it flames with fire, and everyone's like, what the fuck?
You know what?
We can do that.
Brick is the person that he wouldn't even use a word. He'd just be holding his barter and like fighting was about to happen, and he'd just be like,
just flame ignites on the end.
Love that.
yeah.
Season 2.
Also, season 2, Brick is getting a full suit of armor.
Lobster
I'm not
plate.
kidding.
He looks at me menacingly like.
Lobster
kidding.
plate, baby.
I had two things in my mind
Baron
before they
engineers can
disappear.
craft it.
Yeah. One was, that's an alternate ending, I guess. Canon alternate ending. Yay.
Yay.
That can be what we call it. It's
Yeah.
the alternate
Yeah,
ending.
sure.
But in regards to season 2,
Video game style. That was good ending. We got secret best ending. That was the good ending. The bad
did all
endings,
the
everyone
stuff.
dies, but yeah.
yeah,
secret
no,
best
definitely.
ending.
I forget.
I'm so sorry. Why
right.
did I do that to you?
That's right.
Worst ending is we get the rewind, but we still fail. We fail again.
Yeah, that's definitely worst ending. Last question is from Narrator Dave. He says, wow, what great, handsome and lovely content creators. What a sweet
thanks.
patron.
Thanks,
supportive.
Narrator Dave.
Question, Jazza, what are you most excited about moving from narrator to player? And how do you feel the experience of running recent campaign will change how you approach playing? That's a really cool question. I feel honored to receive it from you
Because I'm a patron of our own patron.
because I have huge respect for you as a narrator. I look up to you so much in how we play, and a lot of what I've learned has come directly from you. Because I don't consume a lot of content, and I don't even get to play a lot of role-playing games. And I know how hard you are on yourself with your standards, because you really want the best out of yourself at every approach. So that's really cool to see, and it's even cooler to be a part of when you're a player and you're leading that. It's really cool, and it's super fucking intimidating when I'm about to step into the narrator seat and be like, oh shit, I want to hold up to that standard, and I've an nth of the experience that you have at leading a table. So it actually really helped me raise my game and push myself, which I really appreciate. But holy shit, this is a level of exhaustion I don't love. Like, my brain is overactive a lot of the time anyway. So I'm looking forward to being able to unwind my brain between. I'll definitely enjoy the theorizing and stuff because I've really enjoyed that, and I will enjoy that
really
for reboot.
tuck in on the player side. It's fun.
Yeah.
To tuck in
Well,
on
that is 100% my thing. It's like I am already starting to do it with Pro, and I've already had a conversation with you about it, and I'm like already geeking out about like I love roleplay because I love the theater of really diving into a character, and I'm just so ready to do that. But like the breadcrumb thing and the self-doubt thing is probably my curse, is that I'll always have narrating. And yeah, that's how I'm feeling about that. So shall we, I guess our last thing, shall we have a bit of a run through the magic stuff?
Yay, magic.
Yes.
You guys interested in that? There's
Yeah.
a number of questions. So
I am curious as well. Before we end, talk about what our plan is between seasons.
yeah.
Not just what we're making, but sort of a rough time frame. Have we even talked about
Yeah,
it?
let's do it. I'd say about how many? 5 or 6 chapters is my guess.
I think
now.
conservatively, I'm going to say 4 1.5 hour, because we got to
You
factor
wanna-
in.
okay.
You got to factor in lunch.
Yep.
You got to factor in.
So you think
setup,
2 then
pack up.
2?
I think it's going to be
2 break 2.
Yeah, I feel like that's what'll happen. It's possible we could get 5 or 6, but I feel like my conservative, like reliable, is we should get 4.
Hey, 4 great is better than like 5 or 6
Yeah.
squeezed. So yeah, definitely like minimally 4 really quality chapters and a mini campaign that fills the gap. I think I like this as an idea moving forward. Like I like having a mid-season, like a cross-season break that is substantial enough that people get excited for the break rather than
Yeah.
feeling like, oh,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's 4 or 6 weeks between the next campaign, so I'll start
Yeah.
tuning out. No, it's like, oh, shit, they're going to amp it up a little bit. And I think that's a really cool opportunity.
I also think I'll give my little thing. This is a real palette cleanse. This is an opportunity for some fun, because
Yeah.
the characters that you guys are playing, and it's going to be like a little bit of a breath of relaxation, no stress.
Yeah. And it's going to be really fun because we have set pieces. We have stuff to show and look at. It's going to be gorgeous. I'm really excited.
So excited to
Yeah.
play on it.
Me too.
You talk about me having narrating experience, but do you know how often I've played at a fully painted table
Yeah, it's
where
almost
the
so good.
terrain, the maps,
Yeah.
the minis, the monsters, everything is fully painted? Because the answer is never.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. I do wonder if we should, I'm changing my mind, switch to like the 4K or 6K for the table cam. It'll just be a much nicer shot. So just keep that in the back of your head when we do the setup. Does that matter? I think that could
The
work.
table cam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was
Anyway.
imagining a penguin stand, but if you wanted to do it.
No, on a tripod. I mean the
tripod,
camera
okay.
rather than a micro studio using
Yeah, yeah,
4K
yeah,
or
yeah.
6K. All right. Magic. Let's do it. Okay, so here's my stance. Season 1, a big sort of world building exploration thing, was magic. It was all about uncovering stuff, learning how it works, and also, figuring out how it works mechanically from my standpoint. Season 2, that's not the story anymore. So, but from my perspective, season 2 is going to pick up where the players can have an understanding of the magic system. We're going to put a bit of work, and I'm going to need some help into the magic system itself, so it feels solid and balanced and understandable, both to players and the characters I come up with.
I just wanted to preface by saying that I think in a way it's kind of good that you've been very loose with it, because I've had to learn how to use the abilities as a character who also doesn't know how to use the abilities.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really cool that you'll define it in season 2, and it hasn't been defined in this season.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to preface by saying that, because I think that's really cool.
That's so cool. Thank you. Yeah, like I love that I always wanted it to feel like a genuine sense of discovery with the
Yeah.
magic system, but that's not what season 2 is. The sense of
Yeah.
discovery is going to be the world itself.
Yeah.
And that's exciting to me.
And the flexibility of a soft magic system is amazing, because you can use it and have it stretch and bend and need to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
When you do go into hard magic systems with heaps of crunch, a fireball is a fireball, and it does 8d6 damage. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
sure does.
It does what it does. And that is it. And then you can't, as even a GM.
Yeah.
I mean, a GM can do anything, of course, but it's still, if you do it
The
here and
players
there,
sort of know
players feel
that-
like it's cheating or a little bit like, oh, you gave that the extra thing so you kill the boss and that kind of cheapens it. Depends on the players. But anyway, there's advantages. Don't feel like you have to apologize for it, but it's cool. It was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think to a degree it will need to remain a little soft in its mechanics.
Hell yeah.
Because it feels right narratively. But one thing I will say off the bat is Catalina still has her magic. The difference is, and the way everyone replenishes should still be the same. I might rework that with Catalina, but so it won't be attached to the heart, but maybe the ritual is something that she feels she needs. But the difference is, while your mechanics will be the same, except there is a living entity that has its own thing.
Yeah, cool.
So as you build a relationship with that, like at the end, it might make its own choice or push itself or do different things. So that will be a
okay.
fun.
I have a big theory about
What's that?
your magic. Did you read it in the Discord? I think that the shards of Sunder trap magic creatures or spirits or something. And I think that they are used to be bonded with humanity, the bonds of old, as in like an agreement, not like they helped people and then people imprisoned them or something happened. And the in IRONSPIRE is like a big one. And breaking the shard was actually the souls that yearn for freedom was in the prophecy. It was actually not a metaphor for us, but it was actually the thing that was imprisoned in the shard, and your emotions freed it, and now it is free for you to recreate. The bonds of old will be known again, or whatever the line was, to recreate those bonds of old to free what lies at the heart of IRONSPIRE.
It's a good theory.
Cool theory.
Yeah. Anyway,
So the magic system.
yes.
I've got 7 classes, and each of them come in pairs.
But
of
one's banned
subcategories.
because only I'm allowed it.
The first is Fury Magic. Fury Magic contains both fire and strength. Then there is Force Magic. Force Magic contains both fortune and telekinesis.
And that's what Ainsley had, we think.
I'll give you some labels.
We were
in a
pretty
bit.
much told Ainsley had that.
No.
Oh, okay.
It is not. So I'll give you the labels, and then I'll you can make your guesses.
Okay.
But okay, yeah, no, make your guesses as you go. 3 is Surge Magic, which comes with both energy and lightning. 4, Flow Magic, comes with both growth and water.
So that's what Eden
Yes.
probably had.
Yep.
5 is Mind Magic. Mentality is one class,
And that's what Ainsley had.
Telepathy is the other class.
Ooh.
6 is Shape Magic, which comes with emotion and matter.
Yo.
So Osbert would
Whoa. Does your mana pool apply to both halves of it?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
7 is Dimension Magic, which comes with space and time
Just sounds freaking cool.
and spirit. So the answer to that is I don't 100% know yet. But my gut says maybe, probably. What I know it accounts for is you can only hold within yourself 2 of the same class.
Yeah.
So you can't internalize or have a bond or have within you that isn't an item to 2 different paths of magic. But Catalina within herself, if she, okay, so let's say Delvin within yourself, you could have time and space and spirit, but you can't have spirit or and water or anything else.
Time and space sounds like Medela has the same one as me.
They're in the same house, yeah.
But so that's the rarest one from what we know, based on
Yeah.
what. So Medela might have it too,
Might have the same one as you.
or have I've got spirit.
You've got spirit.
and spirit is the rarest that we
And
found.
spirit can, and a few people have pointed out, because I did say this earlier in the campaign, read fortune is a skill that can be used by either class if the other class is held.
I
So
think.
if you have spirit and time and space, you can attempt to read
Is it
fortune.
3? Is it time, space, and spirit, or is it time and
No,
space is 1?
it's time and space is 1.
I personally think straight away
It's
that
it's time through space, right? It's not really anyway.
if it's the same shard, or is it a different? I feel like it should be one vocation mana for the thing, and then you can skill point into the 2 halves.
Yeah,
But you might need to get something to do that.
Yeah, I think that's probably how I'm feeling it would work.
Rather than it being a separate pool of magic.
Yeah, that's how I'm thinking it would work. You would need a bond with the shard itself. Because the different classes, matter and emotion and telepathy and water and growth, and like all the different things are different types, like dog, cat, tree, right? It's a different being.
Yep.
But they that some like a dog and a wolf are in the same category. It's a similar idea, I guess.
Cool.
Anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, that's those. Unless anyone had any more questions or.
I just have thoughts, which is that I think mechanically it makes sense if you can bond to the 2 shards that they would use the same mana pool, because otherwise it might be too strong.
Yeah.
Without it being removable. The items have the disadvantages. You can remove them from people.
And break.
Disarm. Like your Bardache does this flame magic on it, someone disarms you. It's like,
Yeah.
well, now it's not in your hands anymore.
So, might as well give you some characters, which is a bit of fun. So, Elspeth had both dimensions magics and was quite powerful, but also not like... a lot of people actually talked about in the theory crafting stuff, and this was one of the ones that the nail was hit on the head. She never had drive, but she'd always had magic, and it always, was just found the gift or had the gift or whatever. But yeah.
And it makes me feel like this is something that is so important for Elspeth. She chose to die, is my personal feelings. She knew what had to happen. And this now I understand furthermore and how rare and valuable it is, because she knew the King of Flames could not have hold of that magic.
Yeah. By the
my
way,
belief.
every school of magic, aside from having spells and skills and stuff, has a backfire.
Yes.
So that if you possess it yourself, there's a backfire. And a fun thing is mentality, which is Ainsley's magic. The backfire is claustrophobia and agoraphobia. So he actually was agoraphobic. He rarely left and was always heavily protected. He was super paranoid and specifically about space leaving outside. That's why he controlled all of that. Yeah. Oh,
What's Jen's backfire?
time and space, by the way, the backfire is age. And Medela is going to be slightly, weirdly a year older all of a sudden. Like, just like physically.
Do you do it? Is it definite or random?
It'll be, in that case, it would be.
Definite.
We also-
Because if it's not that, is it random up or down? Or is it always older?
I think it's always older. I think the way it pulls on the life force.
Okay. That's fine. I just find it really funny where people age into uselessness. It's like you do this really powerful thing, you de-age 10 years. It's like, but my character was 18. It's like, you're 8 now. You suck. Your physical stats are useless.
Yeah.
Or you accidentally age.
Yeah. So Eden was growth.
Yep.
Melba is telepathy.
Yep.
Anyone else?
I mean, the water girl was the water one, and
Yeah.
flow water.
I think the Dimension Spirit
Was
one,
Elise.
the one you and the mother have, are definitely like the kick-ass ones, which is like kind of fun for the story. That
Hell yeah.
They're all awesome. They're just the most meta.
yours needs other stuff for it to be worth anything. Otherwise, it's sort of useless. But with the value magic holds in the world, it's pretty potent.
I think knowing that, and Delvin will definitely be trying to find dimension, time, and space so that he can have more power.
I feel like yours is like the big moments one, like it'll be the big story arc stuff. But I think Jen's is the episode to episode one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
If I got time and space, think about how perfect that is for the arc of the Sparrow. Like, I need to slip across this alleyway without the poor innocent guard keeping me. Time pauses for 3 seconds or whatever while I dash across the alleyway. He perceives nothing. Like,
I was
is that
excited.
the kind of stuff it
I was
does?
excited with the alternate ending that would be Brick's power. That you'd be able to like freeze someone like a moment in time for a split second,
I like the
and their heads falling off.
When you mentioned it, one of my first thoughts was like he'd be unkillable, not because he can reverse time, but because he can reverse time and know what he did wrong.
Yeah.
Let's think about this, though. If we can only have one shard in us and there's 7 in the game with 2 halves, it's way cooler for each of us to have a completely different like wedge rather than
Yeah.
you having half of the same one I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that didn't happen from a purely crunch meta level.
And I feel like there's got to be limits. I feel like the limit must be to held, and I don't know. We'll figure all this stuff out later.
I'd
but-
go Osbert's power for brick.
Oh, matter.
Yeah.
How would you imagine using it?
I'd be indestructible.
Cool.
Like, legitimately. People would stab me and I'd be like, cool.
Yeah.
Knife turns into jello.
Yeah.
Very much. I think that sort of brings us to the end of our Q&A. We've answered all the Qs, we've given them A's, and even more. There's been some juicy stuff here, but Theorycraft is you don't get much of a vacation because I think Reboot. I feel like Dave's gonna have a lot up his sleeve.
There is so much.
I
still
really
from
regret
season
not
one.
having the music on the thing ready to do the official. Anyway,
Oh, no, because when that does happen for the first time, it's going to be like,
Yeah.
whoa, we're back in Reboot. I want to miss Sunder.
Yeah, me too.
I already look forward to season 2,
yeah.
but I also look forward to being able to relax from a week-to-week basis, knowing that no one can hurt my character.
I love that that's your motivation. You have so much work to do. I just like get to show up and play a character. It's great.
And I taught you and you like it.
I was going to say, get
Yeah.
your head pushed into the sand
Please,
for the 50th time.
please
Yeah.
hurt me.
Oh my God, you and Ugly are going to have so much fun.
Oh hell yeah!
Just rocking up on the door of Ugly's Motors.
Yeah.
With a shot, Zhang injured, and just begging
It's a lot
for
of
help.
stuff.
Yeah.
What a way to start a season.
Well, on that note, I feel like one last time we sit in the frame, and we also are joined in a moment by our patrons who made all this possible. Thank you all for asking the questions and for supporting us through a whole season and into the next. We appreciate it all.
It's got to be that one.
The Dark Fox, Professor X1718,
AJ Macy.
Yell Hedges.
Infernus Shadows.
Tickle Duck.
Aussie Arty Party.
Thank you to all our patrons who join us on these journeys. And we'll see you again. I inspire the journey north.
I'm so stoked. It feels like yesterday that we started this season, and I had lots of hopes and zero expectation of what would happen because I had no idea what you would all do as players. But my hope was that I could put you all in a sandbox that you would enjoy, and I just knew and trusted that you'd make the coolest fucking thing ever, and you did. So thank you so much for bringing it to life with me, and I can't wait till the
Thank
next
you.
season.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
up the ante in every way. It's so good.
Thanks for creating an amazing world for us. to
Poking
play
us
in.
and prodding us and pushing us in ways we didn't think we could be pushed.
Group high five!
Yeah!
Yay!
Woo!
All right.
No one saw any hands because they were all in between
We'll
the
just
cameras.
get into vacuous, invisible dimension. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. If you're watching the Q&A. Anyway, and until next time.
Bye.
Time to start watching Reboot. Catch up. Catch up time.
And our mid-season.
Oh, don't miss that.
Yeah. See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.